window rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body.
I did want. Did somebody just rip ass, or was that a squeaky chair?
No, that's my squeaky chair.
Sure it was. Sure it was, Mike. That was audible, by the way. That definitely came across. But I don't know if you guys saw this. Maybe it's just something I tend to catch in my circles. But it's a new. It's kind of like it's a new mockumentary that's coming up. It's actually about a delivery driver who was born with an extra chromosome.
Nope.
It's called Ups and Downs.
Oh.
Wah, wah, wah.
I've been holding on to that joke for a long time. Speaking of Downs, come back, Ricky.
I can't be a part of this shit anymore, man.
Come on. We got Down Syndrome Barbie now. It's fine. We can joke about it. But no joke other than my joke. I came up with that a very long time ago. I've just never pulled it out for anyone, so to speak.
That's what she said.
It was in storage.
It was still worth it because you kind of fell for it. You're like, no, I never heard of this. I keep looking over here, just checking the audio levels. Okay.
How's mine doing?
That's actually not too bad right there.
It'd be like Shaolin.
So I can talk like this the whole time and it's good?
No.
Because like this is actually pretty cool because I'm propping the weight of my head up on the microphone stand though.
Because it's just loud enough it's being picked up via your headphones as well.
My headphones are muted.
Somebody's headphones are picking it up because I could hear the echo. But either way.
You see the red on there? My headphones are muted.
No. I'm saying it's so loud coming out of your headphones leaning into the mic. Yeah, I'm getting the echo.
I'm picking up what you're dropping down now.
Yeah, much like the mic was. Okay,
like so the ups and downs.
Come on, that was a good joke.
It was, but it was rough.
Yeah,
that's what Leonardo said.
Yeah, but the thing that isn't a joke is, of course, Down Syndrome Barbie, which is coming, which I think is fine. I just find it a little bit strange. Honestly, like, and I talked with Jessica about it the other day when she didn't believe me, and she does have a younger stepbrother who has Downs, and she's like, no, it's fine. I was like, yeah, I understand. It's just, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like when was it last year? I think there was the Victoria's Secret model that was that had Down syndrome or something like that. It was definitely an underwear model, maybe even Calvin Klein.
No idea.
Which, don't get me wrong, she was actually kind of hot, but it was also like the idea that, like, I think we see people with Down syndrome a different way, like, because they do tend to be like more innocent.
Sexualizing them is very weird.
Yeah, sexualizing them is weird, and I feel like in a way Barbie was always meant to be kind of a not in the direct sexual thing, but it was always meant to be like, this is the quote unquote perfect woman, so to speak. And you always saw her as not specifically a sex symbol, but something in that way. You know, I mean,
notice how all three of us are sitting back and letting you dig that hole.
Well, no, I mean, like, and I don't care about the hole, but I mean, like, I don't care about the hole, so to speak. Either way, it's just, it is a weird flex almost. Like, we're gonna do Down syndrome Barbie. I was like, okay. And
you know what I'm waiting for? Yeah. I want somebody to do a recording. Did you ever see The Office where he did the unicorn Barbie when Dwight went and bought up all those unicorn horn Barbie dolls that were like the new hot shit for Christmas, and he was scalping them in the office?
No, I never saw. Well, I might have seen.
You never saw that one?
I might have.
Like,
but
he bought like all of them in like 100-mile radius, and then he was scalping them, having people come to the office and selling it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets down to the last one, and Toby.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, my daughter's gonna love me. I'm gonna win Christmas because I'm gonna buy this for her." And then he goes and buys it, and what's his face beats him to it.
Which there's a lot of what's his faces.
Oh man, I'm brain farting. Hold on, Jim and
Mike's dying over there.
Nope,
I
am. Fucking balls, dude. Not Dwight.
Not familiar with
Andy.
Character.
No.
Dwight, Andy, Kevin.
The black dude that was downstairs and came upstairs.
Daryl.
Daryl, thank you. Goddamn, see, I wasn't the only one who brain farted on that.
No, the funny thing is, I was thinking of his real name.
Last one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so Daryl, yeah,
or
me
his
too,
daughter.
Robinson.
Yeah.
So Daryl buys the last one, and then Toby's like, "Oh, please, you gotta let me, blah, 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 blah." And Daryl's like, "Okay, but you're gonna pay me this much." He charges him like triple what he just saw him
just paid him for, yeah.
the flipped price
Nice.
to Dwight, and he's like, okay, whatever, and pays him, and he gets it. He's like, yes, I won, and he looks at it, he's like, and then Daryl goes, is there a problem? And it's like a black Barbie doll.
Yeah, because he didn't realize it
Like this
wasn't the
awkward
same
pause.
one. Yeah,
This awkward pause. That's what I'm waiting to happen with this.
I guess.
with the Barbie doll.
But and Mike kind of had a point
Imagine.
when we talked about it in the chat. He said like it doesn't really look that different. Now I can't tell.
No,
if
it doesn't.
It just looks like a Barbie doll got left out in the sun for a while. Let's be real.
I mean,
Yeah.
like it's
A
like
little soft.
Slightly melted.
they
just,
didn't go. They didn't literally go that hard in the paint when it came to making the Barbie look like it's got downs, but it's got the slight features. The slight features there.
I'm calling it now, man. That was a QC issue for some Barbies, and they're like, well, we know how we're gonna not waste this.
There we go. And of
Yeah.
course, there was Rob who had his opinion on it. Care to share?
So, I mean, I was going to say, in the Toys That Made Us, they kind of defined that the whole point of Barbie dolls was that it was a direct competition to G.I. Joe dolls back in the day.
Sure.
Uh-huh.
And so they understood and they realized over time that what they were making for the dolls was quite unrealistic. And so the whole premise of, I guess, the division that handles it was that ultimately they're just trying to make Barbie dolls and really girls that are more realistic in what we have in current
Have you seen
society, right?
previews for the
It's
Barbie
basically
movie that's
just kind of
coming
like
out?
follows.
Yeah.
Yes.
How
Oh,
many
yeah,
girls you
trust
know
me.
look like Margot Robbie?
Oh yeah, trust me.
Yeah, so
There's-
they ain't trying to fix nothing.
they're not
they're
trying
trying to
they're-
placate
well, I think
people is what they're trying to
I'm
do.
treating that more like comedy haha, because if you look at the cast,
Oh
you
yeah,
look at
Barbie's
who
not
they- at
not
who
serious.
they've cast,
Oh yeah.
which I mean, also, Shoki, I mean, they got the next Doctor in there, so
I don't care.
I mean,
Who's the next?
I don't
doctor?
even.
What's
I
her
don't.
name?
I don't even care. In any way, shape. The doctor is dead at this point.
Oh, because it's a girl
The-
doctor.
The, doctor died with
Nope.
Capaldi.
no, new Doctor is
No,
coming. So
no,
they're
it's
doing
gay. It's
Tennant
gay.
right now,
It's
and
gay
then
black
Oh
doctors,
yeah. Gay black doctor. Yeah. Ugh.
which is not a terrible
But
thing.
no, I mean,
With a bunch
What's
of
wrong?
trans people.
What's wrong with gay
Yay.
black doctor?
Nothing really,
Oh.
except that
I'm
they
gonna
make
let
the
the guy-
story
I'm the
about
guy
him
from
being gay and
Texas
black.
and-
about
I'm gonna let the guy.
I'm
from
more excited
Texas
about
and
the
North
actor
Texas
doing
figure that
the
out.
role than I am about the premise behind it. So
Who's
that's
the
fine.
actor?
No, the actor's gay and black.
His name is Nishuti Gatwa.
Okay, I give up.
That's
Yeah.
a hell of a name.
He's French,
From
probably French
Rwanda
Canadian.
or something.
Who knows? It sounds very French.
Is that the? Is
But
that
no,
the?
I think the
Is that
premise
the?
is
This
good.
guy? Is that the one who does a? Huh? Is that
No,
him?
but he would
No,
be
it's
great.
not Mr. Y.
Probably.
That would be really good.
He'd be a great Time Lord.
No, he'd actually be a great Kang replacement.
No. But for him, it's timelines. Why this? When this?
When you could have this.
And he's got the blue face.
Mm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, has
Exactly.
anybody done that meme? Has anybody done that yet?
I think I've seen it. I
Okay,
probably haven't
Rob, you're
seen
the
too.
meme lord. You need to get on that. But just to qualify this, Rob did say that the doll is inaccurate because it should have a frustrated parent to go with it.
You should have a frustrated caregiver, somebody that, because here's the thing,
And it's
from
he's not
from
wrong
my
either.
personal perspective, like there are the real heart goes into the caregivers for people who have Down syndrome, and that they work very hard,
They do.
whether or not they're relatives or caretakers. So
In general, yeah.
like
Yep.
yeah, I mean it does have some, I mean, I think that's really where the speaking point is to not just those with or
So-
having Down syndrome, but also to those that are that have family members or work with family members or have are caregivers.
Yeah.
So should this the Downs doll, should that have been like Skipper? So the actual
man,
Barbie.
I'm done with this conversation.
So that-
As soon
no,
as you
no,
called
no,
it the
I'm- no,
Downs
this-
doll, I was out.
No, this is real talk though. Like if it was like
fix my
just
hair.
Barbie, but but remember, like they created Skipper, the little sister or daughter, whichever way it went over time. But it's like if they had
How'd they
had,
have a daughter? Ken doesn't have a penis.
she doesn't have a vagina, so I mean, how? They're just molding them however they want. But
You're trying to use logic, Ricky.
yeah, but we're going. I'm going with Rob's logic. That was hard to say. Should you have
It's a
the
lie.
younger? Should she be younger, and the older Barbie is taken care of at
Did
least.
you just get a Barbie doll with like gray
Black
streaks?
And it doesn't have to be like old.
Yeah.
Could be
Her
Doesn't have to
eyes.
be like over the
like,
top.
no. It's lonely housewife Barbie. Realistically, is what it is.
I want a crackhead Barbie, missing teeth and like has a ripped out car radio.
That's
in
called
her
Dollar.
hand.
Fentanyl.
That's Dollar General Barbie. Is what that is.
No, that's what I
Fentanyl
want.
Barbie.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Not even Five Below Barbie because
I need a
she's
Florida meth gator Barbie.
Five Below Barbie does a wholly different job.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, she's 5 and below.
That's what I'm saying.
Wink.
That's what I'm saying. It only takes 5 to make her go below. So
Oh.
either way, welcome back to the Now
Press
You Made
record
It.
now.
We've been recording the whole time.
God damn.
Yeah. Now, welcome back to episode 51 of the Now You Made It Awkward podcast. It's because we did 50 last week, where we got most of us got, well, not even most of us, half of us here got to see Alan's ass. That was unpleasant.
It was amazing.
And then I had to.
I'm grateful that I didn't.
I will make sure I go screen cap it and share it in the chat so you guys can enjoy.
I don't need an Irish eye smiling. Thank you.
Sharing is caring.
Damn it!
Hey,
Why did we? How did
Dormamu.
we miss that? How did we miss that back then? That doesn't count.
It was Irish eye smile.
You're barely Irish.
I'm half Irish, bitch. How's that make me barely
You're like
barely Irish? And you're barely a man. You're more donkey than man.
That's not fair.
That's
No.
fair.
No, because I'm half
Well,
You're a
Ukrainian.
jackass.
So
That's
which
pretty
half,
hurtful,
Ricky? The
Ricky.
Ukrainian half or the mutt half?
Definitely the Ukrainian half.
Fucker. Justice for Ukraine. Get my blue and yellow flag out. So
Almost out of rainbow.
Yep. So either way, guys. Of course, I'm Shoki. You can follow me at all the Shoki. I almost said Shoki flavored things in the description down below. I'm going with it now. And of course, you have Ricky over there. You can follow.
What's up, y'all?
You can follow his work at Nerd Rage Radio's promos on Facebook, and of course at 9 p.m. ish on the Realm of Collectors YouTube channel. For the Realm Hatton Project. Sorry, Rob turning on his camera and waving like a creeper scared me.
Ooh.
You can
Come on,
follow.
Dormamu. He said realm.
Either way, and of course you have Dormamu up there, which you'll see him in the chat squad here and there, if you're on any of the Realm videos. And then up there, well, the corners are irrelevant now because people keep changing their corners. We have a Comic Relief Crusader coming to visit us today. He happens to be available.
That's right.
And it took us only 20 minutes to get his audio fixed. So it's fine. It's fine. There's no problems at all.
Now complete with my patented beaver. So
For anybody not on the Patreon, you won't know what he's talking about. So now you've proven Ricky right that you are in fact dealing in beaver pelts.
yes, I am. So,
Nailed
there you
it.
go. Yeah.
I've always wanted to see Mike's beaver. I knew it would happen one day.
There
And
we go.
speaking of the
For
Patreon,
you, Ricky.
yep. So speaking
for
of the
you.
Patreon, you can of course sign up for the Patreon, help support my channels and this one. And thanks to
This is your channels too.
I know, but we
You said my
this is-
channels and
This
one.
is the only channel I do stuff with other people. So it's like you can help out here and
You hear
see
that, people who go on those live streams on his other things? He doesn't count you as other people's.
That's right.
well,
all
no,
of
because
that
they're in the chat.
You said you only interact with other people's on this one.
No, so
They're
this is
not
the
other
only
people's
channel that
you
has other
interact
people
with.
on it.
Preach it, Ricky.
You
That's
heard
what I
him.
said.
It's recorded for posterity. You said
Yep.
you
Yeah,
only
and then
interact
if
with
only they
other
can
people's on this
literally
one,
go back 10 seconds and hear what I said. So
where you
either
said
way.
you only interact with other people's on this channel.
Yeah. Well, in this case, only Mary and Laura can actually watch the uncut version on film over here on the Patreon if you want to do
it's
that.
for the ladies.
No, Ricky. Keep your nipples off camera.
Damn it!
Keep
I
them
tried,
in.
ladies.
No, Mike.
So he's a
No.
fucking blocker.
We don't need any Canadian nipples. Stop it.
Ooh, gross.
You're stretching out your neck hole, Mike.
Ooh.
Fine.
Yeah, you got to fix that. You're gonna have to like nobody likes a stretched
Now
out
you look
neck
like
hole.
a fucking hooligan with a stretched neck collar.
That's what Leonardo
You want
said.
to try that again? You wanna try
Why
that
do you keep going with Leonardo, man? What the fuck's with him and Leonardo today?
Yeah, it's been like at least 2 references.
That's like his.
You got to
fourth.
use 3 for it to actually work. So.
But if we don't understand the reference, it doesn't matter.
Candy.
oh, your April O'Neil was down on her knees because her ankles are bad.
She's not on her knees. She's just at a 45-degree angle to the counter.
She's doing the smooth criminal.
And
lean,
and
dude.
here's the fun part. I'll take a picture of it when we're done. The sword she's holding is the only thing propping her up. So like her feet are.
She's got a double grip on it like this, and that's the only thing holding her up. Huh?
No.
She's
She
so
the
it's osteoporosis, April.
no the sword. You know, it's one of Leonardo's sword. So there we go. We got Leonardo in there too. So it's literally the only thing
That's what
propping her up.
Leonardo said.
Where's my shit? Oh, I was gonna say I can't. Maybe I can get a picture of it and show you guys. Hold on. We're gonna go full on middle of the podcast. Nobody else will see this shit. So let me zoom
We
in.
don't care about them anyways.
Yeah,
I don't care about them.
Here, I'll share it in the chat. There you go. It's in the Facebook chat, so everybody can see. I'll pull it up on the screen for the patrons. I will share the picture.
Dude, that's fucking wild as shit, dude. That's not even a 45-degree angle. She's almost laid straight out sideways. That's crazy.
And the sword is literally the only thing propping her up.
So if her one foot wasn't on that fucking stand, she would be balancing on the tip of the sword.
Yeah, so like the one foot is just tippy toe, the other one's still on the peg, and then the sword's holding her up. It's funny.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
it's like she's ready to just keel over and die.
that's what's
She
happening.
Look like she's going after Shredder's ass for real.
It actually, what it is she's looking down on Toka and Razar, the shelf below them, and she's like, "What the fuck are those?" Because
look, a quarter, bending down to pick it up.
Yeah, except she's not bending; she's completely leg locked. And then I have a foot soldier who won't keep standing up over there, and that Raphael apparently keeps knocking him down. I blame the wifey. I think she keeps slamming the door when she goes outside, because the outside door is literally the other side of that wall. So if she slams it, it shakes the shells.
Game?
Say what?
Looks like Casey played the knockout game with April.
No, he was trying to get her not to leave. I have it to where she looks like she's about to leave to go get revenge, and he's trying to beg her to stay. So that's the way I have them actually set up on the shelf.
Oh, so you have it set up so that a female protagonist is the strong lead character and the man is the pussy. Got it. Mike loves that display.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. Either way. So let's see. Let's just go into weeks. Actually, before we go into weeks, I do want to talk about some tragic news.
Before you do that, before we get into anything else, are there any comments and stuff? Because last time you forgot.
Oh no, yeah, that's a good point. There was only Dormamu's comments I saw from last week.
We don't have to read Dormamu's. He's fucking here.
Yeah, you don't have to read mine. It's fine. I mean, that was just kind of there for the moral.
As far as I know, except for the one guy who wants us to make more racist jokes, I don't think we have any other comments. And that was.
Do you know how every racist joke starts?
Yes, with an SJW complaining about everything.
No.
Every kiss begins with K.
Nope.
There once was a man from Nantucket.
Nope.
Oh,
y'all ready?
Sure.
This is how every one of them starts the same way. Ready?
Sure.
I just showed you.
Was that clearing the room? Is that what that was?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I think
white people looking around, making sure they ain't gonna get their ass kicked for what's next about to come out of their mouth.
First of all, not all of us here are white people.
You are definitely a white person. The fact that you say you're not a white person, no.
I'm a person of
makes
color.
You whiter. That just makes you whiter.
Person of color, Ukrainian. So either way,
okay,
it is. Go look
We'll see what Putin says about y'all when he's done.
Hey, now that's not nice.
Is right.
Look, just give him Sebastopol in the fucking warm water port into the Black Sea.
What did you
It'll
just
all
say?
be over.
Give him some assholes. What?
I said Sebastopol because that's the city.
The current suggestion is that the Donbass region will be the.
Just let him have the Donbass. It'll end.
Yes, wait till he gets through with Ukraine.
There's a reason why.
No apologies.
There's a reason why we do not negotiate with terrorists. You don't just give.
We don't have to do fuck all. It's not our country.
Yeah, but the problem is we don't want him to have that country because then he'll have more shit that he doesn't need.
He doesn't even need the whole country. He only needs a chunk part of the.
I'm in complete agreement with you, Ricky. It's just that it's
never going to be enough.
From a
They're going to give him that
perspective.
Yeah. It's going to be now. I want that. Oh, you gave me that. Well, now I also need this. No, you don't do that. And if you need proof of how well that works out, just look at the West Bank.
Well, I mean, they already took Crimea a long time ago, so what would it matter if we just gave him that last little highway that he needs to get to the port? That's all he wants. He doesn't even need the whole country.
Go watch news reports on the West Bank.
Yeah, I'm
like,
aware
hey,
of the West
we'll
Bank.
give you all this so that everybody can live happily and peacefully. And tell me how that's going.
Yeah, well, Donbass, half of
As
the
long as they
Don.
stop shelling civilians, I'd be happy because, quite frankly, it is as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
And actually, this is I may have mentioned this a while back, but there's a guy that does restoration videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he actually lives in Kiev, and on one of his more recent videos, you hear the air sirens going like the all clear going off, and it's like
Yeah,
that really brings it to the reality that people are thriving through this, but at the same time they're also surviving through it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, if just letting him have that little chunk of a highway so that he can have that keeps him from using nukes, I mean, I think that's potentially also okay.
Yeah,
all we really have to do is hold out a little bit, a while longer, and all his Russian mob bosses that actually run that country are going to end up killing him just because he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, he's definitely cheesed off the wrong parties, and he is.
If history has proven anything, any war that Russia has started, they've all been beaten, and any country that has ever attacked Russia's always won.
Yeah. It's like Russia's never lost a war that came to their door, and Russia's never won a war that they went for. So, which one do you want? It's like,
technically Russia helped win World War II, where they went somewhere. They went into Germany, so
except they were losing.
No,
Germany attacked Russia.
Yeah,
and then Russia drove right back into Germany.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. It's
and won.
Yeah.
You said Russia's never won a war that they went out of their own country. That's not true.
That was helping. That wasn't. They didn't start a war elsewhere.
No,
they came in.
They did the whole Eastern Front by themselves. If Russia hadn't done that, we would have lost.
No, true. But the thing is, Germany started it.
Yeah, Germany started that. They tried to go into Russia. They were chased out of Russia, and then they got them involved at that point. It was like that was a bigger
like when
mess.
Napoleon tried to go in and lost.
You can't
come out of Russia
because these idiots keep trying to go. They keep trying to take Russia in the winter. Real smart.
Yeah.
Real fucking smart.
FYI, there is no not winter in Russia.
Yeah. There's less frozen, but
there's like 3 days.
Napoleon
3-day campaign to get all the way through.
Napoleon was definitely stupid for his attempt. Let's be honest.
There's a reason why they buried Moscow slap in the middle of that motherfucker, because you can't get to it in the amount of time there's clean roads to get to it.
That's right.
That's why we invented long range weaponry. So either way, let's get off of that just now and talk about local tragedies instead of the tragedy in Ukraine.
Don't giggle when you say that.
I'm Ukrainian. I can do that.
No, you said talk about local tragedies.
Yeah, exactly. In comparison, it's actually not a funny situation at all. But there was a mass shooting, like very local, like probably 20 miles from here, in a town called Cleveland. That has
Ohio?
Nope, Cleveland, Texas.
So Cleveland doesn't rock.
This one does not.
No,
but it used to be. What used to be considered the country, because like it was literally middle of fucking nowhere, basically nothing but a few factories and farms and stuff like that. And then, as things tend to happen, it has grown significantly. There's a new area in between Splendora and Cleveland that has basically been turned into what they want to be the suburbs, but it's not going that way at all.
Nobody cares about the topographical map of Texas.
Well, the reason I'm saying this is because the area in question is this kind of in-between area that has exploded in the last few years. And basically what happened was, I think it was Saturday night. It was definitely over the weekend, but one neighbor was just outside shooting his gun. And mind you, this is not a large open neighborhood, because if you've got acreage, you can go out and shoot your gun as long as you're
not supposed to.
Yeah, well, I mean, here it's legal. You can, because if you have the acreage and you're not putting anyone else at risk, you can go out and shoot your gun as long as it's not towards anyone else's domicile.
Can't be up in the air and can't be towards anybody else's place of residence.
Yeah, at least not way up. Little
Mm-hmm.
Either way, because growing up we had enough acreage, we could shoot behind our house and it wasn't a problem. But later, when the neighborhood behind us grew, we had to stop. But out there, it's literally pretty tight. You're talking like half-acre lots and stuff like that.
That's what he said.
Yeah, so basically, the guy's outside shooting all afternoon, and I believe the neighbors who were killed went next door and asked the guy to stop shooting because it was upsetting the kids in the house. It was a pretty good sized family there, I believe, like 8 or 9 people.
It's a relatively sane question to ask somebody.
Yeah. So basically, like, hey, can you please stop shooting? You're scaring our kids. And the guy retaliated by saying no and went on a killing spree and killed 7 of the people, including several children.
Dear God.
Hold on, wait, I got it backwards. It was 7 total people. 5 people died. And he went in the house. He started shooting pretty much anyone and everyone he could. And then he decided to run, like one would do. And the cops had him pinned down at one point, at least to an area, and then he slipped through, and now he's somewhere. There's a current manhunt out for the guy.
Oh, they still haven't caught up to him?
No, unfortunately not. But the bigger part of the story is that both he and the family in question were all illegals. They were not legal immigrants. And the guy in question had already been deported 5 times for other crimes and come back and still managed to do things. And of course, this is leading to all kinds of gun control, yada, yada, and shit like that. But it's like, well, a criminal committed a crime after all the other crimes he's already committed, that were allowed to continue over and over. So, I mean, at least the remaining family, I believe the father is still alive. I forgot, there was at least one other family member that was not shot in this.
Can you imagine the survivor's guilt of having your kids get killed and you still be alive? That'd be fucking horrible.
And I think I believe his wife was killed too. I think she was the one who went out there, if I recall. I could have that wrong. I apologize. The link will be in the description down below. But it's tragedy as usual when any of these things happen. This one in particular, I guess because it turned into a manhunt, has made bigger news rather than just local. Because even the wife had heard about it, because she tends to watch local news. I tend to watch national and world news. And she told me about it this morning. And I'm like, no, I hadn't heard anything about this. So yeah, my heart goes out to the family in question, and I hope they catch the guy as soon as possible, and it doesn't just turn into more recidivism, like literally just keeping the door open for criminals to keep doing what they do, because not only was he here in the country illegally for at least the 6th time, after committing other crimes, he also had a gun illegally, and of course murdered a whole bunch of people just because. So,
which would probably be the most important of all of those things.
Yeah. It's just like you start from coming into country illegally to buying a gun illegally to using that illegal gun to kill other people. So, I mean, it's just, and people just like,
and then that raises the question, what happens if they do catch him? If he's here illegally, they can't charge him and try him and put him in American jails. He's not an American citizen.
I think
so they'd have to
request extradition while he's in custody.
Yeah, I think
deport him back to wherever he's from,
and then process him.
Yeah, I think we'd have to really go through it, because I don't know what the laws are when you kill people versus when you just commit theft or something. Because
if they deport him, what's the likeliness he's going to go sit in a Mexican jail for a long time?
0.
Yeah,
it'll be right back. And the thing is, with detention centers overflowing at the border, and them basically expecting another 8,000 people coming right now, since Title 42 has ended. I mean, the problem's not going to get any better. When we have a porous border at the south, they're not really doing anything. They detain people for a little amount of time, and then they just bust them elsewhere into the country.
But on the plus side, we've got a solid wall up north keeping Mike's ass up there.
Not really, because we've seen how easily Rusty can get across the border. I'm just talking shit
because he's not on here to listen.
Mike's busy talking to somebody, and he can't even hear. He can't even hear us. He can't even hear us, which is even better.
I think he'd turn his camera off so we don't have to stare at the side of his neck the whole time.
Yeah, but I think,
yes, so this is local to you, but it's also
it's also technically it's a national problem.
This is a very difficult subject, because the problem is the topic really of this has been gun control, and it has been for, well, let's face it, for several years. It's not just now. But I think part of it is that the amount of empathy that's out there is relative to whether or not it happens in your backyard or not. Yes, well-regulated militia. We know it's there.
Uh-huh.
We know that's part of our Constitution. The idea though is regulated. And that's something that we just don't have because money talks. And unfortunately,
See
this
that's
is where
Herein
you know.
lies the rub with that. I get where you're coming from, but this actually brushes against the topic. We've talked about this before with guns. Is bringing up gun control because this dude was a psycho nut job and went and murdered his fucking neighbors. The answer to that is, well, nobody should have guns. No, that's incorrect.
I don't think I don't see that's just it.
This guy specifically has proven that he's willing to break the law multiple
yeah, I mean,
times and commit murder also. So telling people that it's illegal to have a gun wouldn't have stopped this guy from doing.
Yeah, having gun control would never have stopped him.
For him to be here
would not help that. But
they told him it was illegal for him to be here, and guess what? He was still here.
That's the big.
There are people that basically have them legally. Like, I mean, look at half the boomers that are shooting at people for just coming on their driveway illegally.
Well, look at it this way though. The people who were killed likely were doing the right thing and didn't have a gun illegally. Like, I don't know what their status was, but as far as I know, they also were here at least partially illegally. You know, when you have a family that big, odds are you're working towards something. You're not just jumping the border and coming over here and settling in some crappy trailer park. That does happen. I've been to those neighborhoods. They exist. But if they didn't have a gun, especially in Texas, they didn't have a gun to defend themselves, or anyone in the house who could use one to help defend himself. Because, I mean, if it came down to it, they went outside because the neighbor doing illegal activity already with his illegal gun was the beginning of the conversation.
They were probably more worried about the cops being called out there to the house, and they're all illegals there. They don't want the cops out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, because they didn't want to call the cops for that, they had to call the cops because they were murdered. So, I mean...
Which they can't call the cops
if
they were murdered.
Well, if two people survived, yes, they can. So,
well, then they weren't murdered.
Here's an interesting thing. And so right here in my town, the county sheriff is currently off. He's currently off his job because he was caught selling guns without and improperly writing them off from a local gun dealer pal. And basically, he was selling off high caliber weapons.
Oh, like the destroy guns program or whatever.
Wasn't it? I'm not sure if that was what it was, but he was basically caught selling guns that were uncatalogued from his buddy who was a gun dealer. He is the sheriff of the county, and he was basically making money off of that.
Nice.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, illegal activity, basically.
But he has not stepped out. He has not stepped down from his job. Instead, he's on
administrative leave
while he goes through. Right, while he goes
getting paid, mind you, getting paid.
While he goes, well, because I mean, of course, our justice system should have to put him through due process to charge him criminally for this criminal activity. Especially like, and I'm not for a national gun registry in any way, shape, or form. I'm more, but if you trace that, a gun has transferred hands, it's a little bit different, you know, like because I had a buddy who had
I've never understood why people have an issue with a national registry. I don't care if they know how many guns I have.
Well, because if
it comes down to me having to defend myself against let's say the big, let's go with the conspiracy thing. The government's going to come knock on my door wanting my guns.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I don't care how many guns and bullets I have. Them motherfuckers have tanks and jets. I'm not ever going to beat them. So if they have a list,
hold on.
If they have a list of how many guns I have, who gives a fuck?
Hold on.
They're not after that, but I agree with you, Ricky. Like that.
Well,
a registry would make some sense, or would be some sort of
helpful
stopgap. Now, it wouldn't help your guy, Shoki.
Well, no. But let me tell you the point, though. Let me tell you the point of the registry. It's not to know who has the guns; it's to know who doesn't. Because you might have 15 you might have 5 ARs, you might have 12 AKs, you might have 9mm 45s, you might have an entire arsenal. Guess what? No one is coming to your house to do shit. However, if you're that neighbor who has 0 guns, that's the house they're going for. And
that sounds like a them problem, not a me problem. Fucking sign me up on this registry. I don't give a shit.
But and
they
that's
have the legal right to go
because,
buy a fucking gun.
Putting anything down on paper is shaky at best for
yeah.
security.
And the thing is,
you're right.
So
you're right.
And I discussed this with Rusty because, of course, Rusty is not 100% anti-gun. He's just anti-specific guns.
America.
No, he's anti. Well, he's Canadian, so technically, yes, he's anti-American by not becoming an American citizen. So, he just comes over here. He comes over here for our cheeseburgers. He comes here for
a U.S. citizen.
Yeah,
Canada's in America,
technically. Unfortunately, we should just conquer Canada. Just make it the U.S.
What do you mean conquer? They were started by the French. We know how that goes. Hey guys, we want Canada.
French
and
English. French and English.
Mm-hmm.
So either way, but no,
with it.
Because I talked about this with Rusty. It's not even about people go, oh well, the government's going to knock down your door to take your guns. It's like it's not about what the government does. It's what whoever got that list can do to you. Because we always assume that just because the government has the list means it's secure. It's like shit gets hacked constantly. It's like if you got
who
these.
Who gives a fuck if they know what guns I have? They don't know how good of a shot I am.
Once again, it's not about you. It's about the people who don't have guns.
Then let them go buy a fucking gun. Guns are not that goddamn expensive. They can get a fucking gun. Every house in this country could have a fucking gun in it for less than $300 a pop.
It would be great.
Very easily.
Yeah, gun, but maybe not ammo because ammo prices are still up from what.
But I'm just saying, like that's a silly reason I don't want to have a registry. I don't give a fuck. Let that asshole let them do something to him. He should have guns. That's not my problem.
And I don't disagree with that, but it's also like now you can pick and choose. Okay, that $1 million mansion over there that has no security guards and we know they have no guns, I can go rob that whenever I feel like it.
Guess what? Not my house. I don't care. Not my circus. Not my monkeys. Them motherfuckers could have bought a gun.
Yeah,
they got $1 million fucking mansion, and I got this fucking 3-bedroom house. They could have guns.
Or if it comes down to it on state to state level, you'll know that okay, well this state definitely has really restrictive gun laws. We know we can do a lot more there than we can say in Texas. So I mean,
you want to talk about ones that was getting people in trouble? You're worried about a national registry getting hacked and all that shit.
Yeah.
What about them dumbasses that were putting up the blue lights in their outdoor lights? Whatever color light it was supposed they were supposed to be like a solidarity thing where they'd put those colored lights out to let you know that they didn't believe in guns and they were a gun-free home.
Exactly.
And they had signs out in their front yard talking about we don't have guns. Guns are bad.
Yeah, we don't have guns. Guess what happened?
For somebody to kick your door in.
Exactly.
And I will
guess what
say
didn't happen?
Yeah.
But guess what didn't happen? Their doors weren't kicked in disproportionately to anybody else's doors. Thieves don't think like that. Criminals are not gonna. They don't care if you say you have a gun or if you don't have a gun. If criminals were worried about you have a gun or not, crime would not happen because you not knowing if I have a gun or not would freak you the fuck out.
And that's the way it should be. But if they know for sure,
but it doesn't turn them. But
if they know for sure.
I could sign myself up to something. I could put a blue light out in my thing and a sign in my yard saying I don't have guns. Let them kick in my door and find out how much.
I mean, that would be a lie. So technically, it's entrapment.
I mean, but still, they shouldn't be in my house. I live in Florida, man.
And I agree. That is already a crime.
I'd be like, I feel like you're threatening my life. Boom.
It's already burglary at that point.
I think we can agree there's not an easy solve to this, but
there is no easy way
to do it. Discourse of it.
There is. There's an easy solve. Everyone has guns, and you use them when and if, but not because.
I mean, the biggest thing is better background checks. That is one of the deepest things I know that doesn't stop all the flows. That's your finger in the dike trying to hold back the water. I get it. But that's more than what we're doing now. You're not going to stop this guy from getting a gun, the one that just did the shooting.
Because he got it illegally anyways.
Because he's illegal.
Yeah, he doesn't have a social security number. You can't
do
a background
personal
check.
Take, and this has been my personal take for years.
Yeah,
we did own a rifle for a period of time. We have a family member who was a firearms dealer, sold it to us. We registered the whole 9 yards. Right, we had it until we had our first child. After our first child, we got worried that even with, say, gun lock and all that, it still wasn't it still made us feel at least a little nervous or uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So we sold it back to him, and that was fine. Now, as personal, I do believe in gun ownership, but I also believe that not everybody can be in control when they own something that the moment you pull the trigger, you have no control over what is coming, where that bullet is going. And that's part of the problem. It's like driving a car. You are driving a car.
You should have control over it, though.
You should have control, but we've proven time and again that not everybody does.
Well, then that comes down to
Not everybody
personal
has mental
responsibility.
control. Not everybody has personal control. Not
Yeah.
everybody has. We've how many times have
So-
we had this type of discussion where it just goes on and on but it really boils down to the fact that when you own something that is going to shoot something at a higher rate of speed than anybody could ever get past, you are technically, the moment you fire that bullet, you are officially out of control over where that bullet is going to go. And so personally, for me, I'm more of a handheld weapon fan, where a sword or a knife or something that I could defend
Have you
myself with.
seen Raiders of
I'm
the
in
Lost
control.
Ark?
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You're okay.
So and
You
also
come at me with your little
That's-
schmiter, and
that's
let's see how
my
that
opinion.
plays out.
That's my
and-
my opinion.
and you have
gotcha.
an okay point, but it also comes down to what Ricky and I believe agreed on the last time we
Training.
discussed this. Basically, training and personal responsibility is what it's always
Mm-hmm.
going to come down to. If you and everyone in your house, including your children, are aware of and trained on in one way or another, either to avoid
Very basic.
or how to use said weapons in your house, because you might have your stabby weapons in your house, but your
But
kids,
that's not really good, right?
but-
It's not
but
going to
you're-
protect against an
no,
actual firearm. Yeah.
but your kids could literally go, "Oh, look, Daddy's sword," and pull it out.
Why you gotta go? Let's
It
end
sounds-
that extreme.
But even a butter knife,
I got a
yeah.
butcher block full of fucking steak knives and shit in here that'll cut
Yeah.
through fucking bone and everything. That
Yeah, and I mean, like,
nobody says a blips a sound about that.
yeah, but you
and I've never
teach
understood
your kids, hey,
not to
don't
fuck
fuck
with
with the knives, you'll
And
lose a
gun
finger.
safety is the same thing.
This is where growing up, especially in like upstate New York, where kids, they grow up hunting deer. They
Yeah.
grow up,
Yep.
hunting
Young,
hunting
like
So-
6 years old.
Yeah.
you're
Like young.
taught, right? You're taught though,
Yeah.
as a child, that this is something
This
that
is
a
to kill
responsibility.
things. Yeah.
Correct.
This is
This
not
is
a
a
toy, and I think
responsibility.
that's one of the big things is when it started being a hidden thing. Parents started they hide their guns and don't talk to their kids about it because they're a big
Yeah.
no-no. And then when a kid finds it, it's a whole nother. It's
So-
an excitement level. It's something to play with.
Yeah, now
something
it's
to
a toy.
think
You are
about.
correct.
So,
Education and training.
education and training. And going back to what Ricky said about background checks, the thing is like we focus on criminal checks, and we can only do that so far because no
They need
one's
psychiatric ones. Like
Thank
crazy.
you. That's what I was getting at. But if also like what happened that one mass shooter, the one in was it
Miami or
Nashville?
whatever?
No, not even that
Oh,
one. The most
Nashville.
recent one, the Nashville one.
Mhm.
That person was in therapy for emotional disturbances and whatnot. If that was included in the background checks for the guns that they bought, then and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be for whatever reason it wasn't. I think the therapist hadn't disclosed things to that degree. Like you don't have to, like that should be part of it always, because if you're a felon, you can't buy a gun. If you've committed any particular number of other types of small crimes, it might limit what you could buy. Like maybe it's just a pistol or whatever, but you can't get a shotgun because whatever. If you have any violent past, you can't buy a gun. I should say that you've been charged with, not with, whatever. But
it doesn't have to be violent, man. It's just any kind of felony at all. Just put you out of business.
having a felony period, yes. But I'm saying the violent ones really, like, that's the bigger part of that. But also, we can't have the so-called red flag laws in the same way, where you can literally just tell on your neighbor with a complete fucking lie, and then they immediately go and take their guns until they
I'm better with that. With them like putting it.
But
in
I'm saying
holding.
if there is proof, that's one thing. If there's literally no proof, like you and I had an argument. Like if we have a knockdown, drag out argument, and you're pissed off at me, and you know what? Fuck him. So you call my local police department and say that I've been threatening people or what other bullshit.
What kind of fucking pussy's gonna do shit like that?
But
man?
that's what
I'd
I'm
rather
saying.
just get out
People
and
can.
fight
Though,
it out,
Ricky.
man.
But that's the thing is like people can and do. I mean, you've seen
Snowflakes are gonna be fucking snowflakes no matter what
Karens,
you do, man.
You know this country. We have too many Karens
pussies.
who would definitely do this shit. That they
I was
learn.
actually just talking about this with Dante just not too long, like last week when we recorded together.
Yeah.
Talking about how different things were when we were younger. That whole
Yeah.
oh, you got a problem, I got a problem. I've done had my ass beat and done beat ass and then still got up and like hung out with the person afterwards.
Yeah,
like,
we don't set keyboard
I was
warriors.
taken care of. That one thing needed to be taken care of. It got taken care of one way or the other, and now we're cool again. You know what I mean?
See, like
nowadays, you say something to somebody, they're liable to just shoot you for stupid shit. So.
Yeah. Or they're liable to get you in trouble. You've done nothing other than
swatting people.
Swatting
shit.
is the
Oh my
hugest fucking
God.
thing. And that's like the thing is like swatting is akin to a red flag law. Literally, there's no proof that anything happened there, but you literally have the SWAT team knocking down your fucking door because they think something has happened. And like, you know, one of the podcasts that I follow, they've been swatted 15 fucking times in 2 years. And they've had a bomb.
How does the police department keep falling for that shit?
They don't, because the thing is, after the first 3 times, they went, look.
First 3? It took them 3 times to figure out they were being fucked with?
Because of what was happening around the area, they said, okay, the third time they came in and they held back, and they saw them on the cameras come up, and somebody went out and met them and said, okay, look, this is what's going on. And then they have a deal now with the cops saying, look, call if something happens, and if something is going down, we'll let you know. It's like, but before it was literally they had bomb scares called in, all kinds of stuff. You know, it's insane when it comes to that. So Mike finally comes back in the middle of a really hefty conversation, has no idea what we're even talking about.
You're talking about
spoke.
Guns. You're talking
we
about
spoke for you.
Yeah,
you're talking about.
We already told the world.
Okay,
we told the world that you wanted to annex Canada. We already told everybody for you.
Alberta,
or at least Alberta.
Yeah, take Alberta with you.
Yeah, Justin Trudeau's plans to take over England because King Charles just ain't doing it on that bill.
Oh, he would too.
Sexier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because that's right. Because Bill C-11 just passed in Canada, the whole censorship bill. Yay!
Yes, it did. I saw that.
March on for Canada.
Congrats, Canada, on that.
Exactly.
Hey, whoa! You better shut the fuck up before somebody with moose fur kicks in your door while we're talking to you. Dude.
No, the thing is he's saying this with Americans, so it's okay.
No, he's still in Canada.
No,
if
he was saying this,
he's in Canada with a communist head warmer next to him. He don't need to be saying shit over there.
That's okay. They like communism.
It's right. Okay. I'm preparing for future.
That's like what I told Rusty when he went to go visit New York. I was like, okay, it's just like Canada. You get all the gun free violence and communism you can want. It's New York City.
Right.
So
it's like
you're
being
good.
In Toronto.
But either way, I mean, we're not gonna solve the world's problems here. But I mean, the fact that we can discuss it versus somebody rage quitting or having to go to their safe space because they can't talk about these things because it's too scary. You know, that's what's really important. Having a dialogue. You know,
exactly.
And
go
ahead.
No, as for the guy, that basically shut up an entire family. Fuck him.
Agreed.
Or can we say
whoa, fuck you, sir.
Yeah, fuck me.
No, Mike, we can say that. We're in America. You can't. You're in Canada. You've been censored.
Whatever. I'm going to say it anyway.
Mike actually wasn't muted. They're just monitoring him. They just keep censoring.
That's right. I'm an Americanized Canadian.
Dudley Do-Right's going to kick in the door behind him and fuck him up.
Look, throw your beaver. Throw your beaver, Mike.
Dudley Do-Right with his swastika armband.
Beaver's angry.
That's his beaver of protection.
Right.
Angry beaver.
My angry beaver.
Beaver.
Well, if we've learned anything in America, you have to have 2 of them for it to be anything.
That's right. See, because
2 angry beavers.
Because we're going through the same thing here in Alberta. We got the NDP, the Democratic Party, and they're like, the woman that's running for the whole party in Alberta is like, I'll take calls from anybody except extremists, right? So I just
you mean anybody on the right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Basically anybody on the right? Meanwhile, around Christmas time, it's like, buy from your lame ass friggin' good for nothing stores during Christmas. It's like, oh wow, you're just a patron of shininess, aren't you? So
patron of shininess.
He's sick. He's sick. Yeah. He doesn't know what he's saying.
No, exactly. I'm like slightly delusional.
Yeah.
The sun's come back out and the snow's gone away and his brain's losing it now.
Exactly.
It's slowly thawing out. So,
exactly.
No chance. It's those ice crystals in the brain.
Yeah.
But fuck yeah. I mean, friggin' shoot up the whole family.
I love how you went fuck yeah and then switch back to friggin'. You're like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to cuss.
It's gonna be on YouTube, right? No, you can't swear.
You can swear.
You went fuck yeah. I mean,
no, we can definitely swear. We just can't talk about certain subjects.
Oh, right. So
that's motherfucking.
I don't know.
No, you just can't. You can't.
Do they have like a psych exam or something like that when you're trying to buy a weapon in the States?
No, but they have background checks. They have background checks.
Yeah, they got background checks.
It's supposed to include psychological evaluation.
But the thing is,
if you've seen your psychiatrist and they think you're a danger to others, they're supposed to.
It's supposed to be filed in. It's supposed to be filed. Period.
Some doctors don't.
Yeah, right. And I think that's what happened in Nashville is they had never filed that person was under therapy for emotional whatever.
Gee.
So the thing is that that if everybody followed, I don't know, the law, we probably wouldn't have as many issues. But then again, how can we do that?
Look at you, Mister. I am the law.
I didn't say I'm the law. I said follow the law.
law.
I don't believe any one should be the law. I do believe that if laws are not going to be enforced,
what's the point in having them then?
well, but I was going to say is like if they're not being enforced legally, they need to be enforced
Illegally?
No, I was going to say, well, what's on? Well, I didn't want to say
There's no other
federally.
option outside. You
Maybe
have legal and illegal. There's no real middle ground on that shit.
No, but I'm thinking like if you're in a place where the laws are not being enforced by your actual, I don't know, law enforcement, then it's up to the community to at least have some type of lawful stability. So like,
you want to bring back vigilantism?
No, not even vigilantism, but basically like it's worked in some places like where the cops are literally like, we're not going to try to do anything against these people who are rioting and destroying places. But in other places, they're like, you actually have the community standing up to the rioters. We're not saying committing acts of violence against them, but basically being like, you're not going to come here and you're not going to do this.
So like, basically like an independent council.
Not even, well, I mean, even if it's like
of sorts,
say like
the city council, the 90-year-old white dudes
no,
down there,
but like some sort of independent council, right? Like, aside from, that's not part of the city or the county or whatever, right? Like a truly independent council that, excuse me, that reviews to make sure all this shit is done, basically. That all the T's were crossed and all the I's were dots.
Well, that's what the FBI was supposed to do, except the
FBI
have decided that it's worth going after people who, say the wrong thing at school boards, or they were somehow near the Capitol on January 6th, even if they weren't doing fuck all. That's who they're chasing instead of doing background checks on people trying to buy guns. That's like half their job is supposed to be answering the phone calls about background checks, and they're not doing it. They don't have enough people. That's actually part of the problem is they've literally said, there's so many people buying guns currently, they don't have enough staff to do the background checks fast. We've talked about that before, where it was like however much the waiting period was.
If there was a way to solve this problem, hire more fucking people.
Well, we can't. We're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine.
Oh, right. I forgot that because they can't possibly fight their own war whatsoever. We have to get involved in everything.
Money, Mike.
We know Canada's
throw
not
money
being
out the door.
Actually, Canada.
Oh no!
Canada
is
troops.
so involved because we got to.
Yeah, but you're sending them to the other side, though. Y'all are sending them to the other side.
Look, they don't care whichever communism they get, whether it's Ukrainian communism or Russian communism. It doesn't matter. Or socialism,
because
whichever.
Trudeau loved his basic dictatorship.
Yeah.
Of China. Don't forget that. Whatever. Anyway,
so actually, this idea that we're going to skip
y'all
weeks.
Are fucked.
We're going to skip weeks because there's not enough that has happened realistically. Well, because I want to get into the other topics we've got lined up though, and because we can come back later and talk about weeks, but the whole idea of this kind of leads into what I wanted to discuss anyways, which was because I've watched a bunch of comedy specials very recently, and I've often wondered about this, and it came up when we talked about the Will Jada Chris Rock thing. Is there anything that comedians can't talk about? And I don't mean that the government is censoring them, but is there anything so sacred that you can't make fun of it?
Yeah, I think that's an individual basis. Like I am open. Like I'm gonna be short and sweet with this one. It literally has to be whatever affects you personally. Like y'all have heard me make all kinds of fucked up jokes and fucked up statements and yada yada. But let me tell you, I have not gone back to South Park since Passions of the Christ because for some reason that bothered me enough to mark that off my list of shit to watch. Not for me to go, fuck South Park, I'll never watch South Park. I still watch old South Parks. I just haven't seen anything new since then. I was like, okay, that's enough for me. Like that was my watermark. They reached it. I'm good. Like I don't need any more of that.
Yeah,
so I'll still go back and watch old ones and shit. So I mean, I guess that was a line for me, and they danced right up to it.
What was it about that in particular?
It would be having the whole thing about Cartman dressing up like Hitler, getting the whole town spun up to finish the final solution, I think that was a little too much.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, because I don't think it would be that far from the truth. I don't think it would be that hard for some shit like that to
I
go
mean,
down
we've kind
again.
of seen, especially in modern day, how easy it is for people to spin people up.
So
like
I mean, that one was that was one toke over the line, sweet Jesus. That was just too much. So that made me get out on South Park.
And actually, South Park is that's like their whole shtick is always either finding
Pushing
the line
that.
and going
Look,
well
Isaac
over
Hayes
it.
quit the fucking show. He made millions of dollars being chef, and he quit because of their Scientology one.
Which is funny to think the Scientology could be too sacred to make fun of.
Well, he's a Scientologist, so it's absolutely.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. But the joke is, of course, about just Scientology not being a real religion.
But as I'm saying, everybody has a line, so I think it's all. I think it should be individual. None of this big, grand, sweeping. I'm not saying every Jew in the world should hate South Park. I'm not saying South Park's anti-Semitic. I'm not even saying it was too much. It was just too much for me personally.
Yeah. And I agree that there's always going to be a personal line, because I think even Tosh mentioned that in one of the specials like a long time ago. He's like, okay, so what we're going to do is you can decide for yourself where the line is, and I'm going to push right up to it. And whether or not you go over that line with me is up to you.
And Daniel Tosh is a great example of that. He is what I like to call the red line comic. He is a red line comic. He goes to that red line, and then he basically says, "Okay." And
it's like he trigger warnings his audience.
Well, there's several comedians that have done this in the past. I mean, even Gilbert Gottfried was like, "Hell no, I'm not going to edit myself." But he also said in an interview once that when somebody asked him, "Do you ever tone down your comedy?" And he said, "No, I don't tone it down. I just work it until it actually works to get the most out of it. I don't try to remove anything. I just make sure that everybody gets the joke. And if they don't get the joke, they're in the wrong place."
Yeah.
And so that's part of it. Like, there are some comedians, and there were tons of articles after the Will and Jada thing about how far is too far.
Yeah.
Where some comedians are like, "No, I will not edit myself because it's basically my writing. If you don't like my writing, then maybe you're not the right audience for it, and perhaps that's where you stand."
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are comedians that say, "Well, if it comes too close to home to hurt somebody's feelings, and they come up to me and they're like, it really kind of hurt, and here's why."
Yeah.
And you have an actual again, having a discussion about it. There are some comedians that will actually like change up their stuff depending upon what, how they approach it. But most take are of the opinion that no, you should not be. You have the right to say what you want. Yes, you have the right to basically make the joke, and whether or not it falls well or it falls flat, it's also on you, and you take responsibility for it.
And the other end of that is, it's also not on the person saying the words to determine how you're going to feel about it. And they're also saying that you're completely welcome to feel however it is you feel about the joke that's told. Yeah. It's like, and that's the thing, is like, I know people who'll jokingly say, it's like, well, it doesn't matter, it's like, you're wrong because you were offended by this. And be like, no, it's okay that you're offended by it. It's like the point, like, half the point of comedy is to hold a mirror up to society so that they can see the absurdities of things. Like, and that's anybody who, will point out any of the major absurdities of life. Whether it's Dave Chappelle pointing out, like, any of his quote unquote transphobic jokes, is like, most of the time they weren't transphobic. He's literally just pointing at the absurdity of the situation that he's been, party to. And it's like, or any black comedians making fun of white people or black people for that matter, and Sean, I think this came up. Didn't Sean bring this up the other day where he literally said, why is it okay? It's funny when races make fun of themselves. Like, a black guy totally makes fun of them, the black community, and white people make fun of white people. It's even funnier when you're making fun within your own realm, lane or whatever. But like, it's also like, I think that there's a difference between being offensive and being funny. Most of the time humor comes from some type of shock factor, but it doesn't have to be an offensive factor, or offensive, I should say.
You know what? If you don't like it, change the channel.
Or
Simple as that.
leave the club.
Or leave the
Or leave the
club.
club.
Or the
whatever.
movie. Because
Right.
I don't even
know?
just mean stand up, because I mean we're also talking movies and TV.
Yeah.
You know, because there's like South Park, like Ricky brought up.
Yeah.
I mean, like South Park has been pushing way past the envelope for fucking years, and they will waste no time. They have literally, like, a thing happened on Tuesday and the episode's dropping Thursday. They've literally rewritten an episode and animated it to include that thing that just happened.
Yeah.
Like they're some of the fastest about turning around a situation and either pointing out absurdity or just flat out making fun of it. Like, what was it, the Kanye West fish sticks joke, like forever ago, you know? And then the bitch, how you not a hobbit? You know, when he's making fun of Kim Kardashian and how everybody figured out she's actually a hobbit. Like,
I think comedy too is also dependent upon the time. In other words, like
yes,
where we currently at where we are currently at as a society. Getting my words out.
tragedy plus time equals comedy.
Yeah, but I mean, as a society, like we've definitely changed, but there's so much more. There are people that are so much more sensitive, and I don't know if that's particularly always a good thing because
That's coming from you.
Just like with guns, there are so many more people that are sensitive about everything,
And it's gotten
comedy
so
is
much
not
too
something
much.
you should be sensitive about. Come with an open mind and your gut full of laughter.
I agree with you on that, but I would also say not just an open mind, but come with the ability to be offended without being destructive
Yeah.
over that offense. Because sometimes being is like, you can be offended, and a lot of times it's because a truth was pointed out to you and you're taking your defensive position on it, right? It's literally like, okay, so somebody wants to make a fat bald guy joke, and I'm there, and I'm going to feel a way about it because I'm a fat bald guy, you know? And then be like, okay, but he's not wrong in whatever he said. You know, he's just pointing out a specific thing about fat bald people, you know? Is like, now, do I want to get so upset that I'm going to take some dipshit action over it after the show is over, like has happened in the past? Or, you know, try to cancel them as we do nowadays, like get their gigs canceled, or, you know, take to Twitter, become the Twitter mob over the latest special or something like that. I think, you know, what we mentioned just a little bit earlier was the ability now with keyboard warriors and keyboard Karens, basically to just be able to rant and crank people's up to like 11 to be angry about something that would, you know, years ago would have been considered extremely minor, or like, okay, but get over it, you know. And I'm not talking about like the situation we just discussed before, but like when it comes to comedy,
Yeah.
like what happened to Dave Chappelle would not have happened like 10 years ago. It's like,
No, of course not.
But in the time that it took place, it was the perfect storm of let's get as however many thousands of people into a tizzy on social media about it, you know. And
Yeah.
I think social media has both grown comedy and destroyed it at the same time. And of course, in Canada, it's incredibly obvious where they will literally arrest someone for telling certain types of jokes.
Oh, not just certain types of jokes, but certain types of truths, absolute truths.
Well, the truth tends to be a joke now.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
So,
and I think
yeah,
like,
but it's like, you know, you know, somebody that gets so easily offended over a simple joke, right? That anybody should just laugh at. Anybody with like have a brain cell, at least nowadays. It's like, you know, I'm offended, and therefore you have to be offended because I find it offensive. And if you don't find it offensive,
you're
well,
wrong.
then you're the problem.
For not being offended, you're wrong. Yeah.
So therefore, if you don't join me in my quest of canceling X person, then, you know,
if you're not with us, you're against us.
Exactly.
You can't just
be,
you know,
if
just
you don't capitulate to my demands, then you are part of the problem, and therefore you also must be targeted, and you also must be brought to heel.
Yeah.
So it's this whole collective communist mentality of, you know, I don't like this, therefore you must not like it too, or else
I don't like. Actually, it's not even
you're
that.
the problem.
It's not even that. It's I don't like this, therefore you can't have it.
That too.
That's what it
Yes.
really comes down to.
Yeah.
It's like if I don't like it, therefore no one should have it.
That's
You
right.
know, it's not even, it's okay if you like it. No. It's like, because I dislike it, it doesn't
Nobody
exist.
should have
No
it.
more. It doesn't happen.
Exactly.
And I'm glad that more people are taking a stance against that nowadays. Well, I guess mostly in America, because that's the only place free speech really exists. Other places, they're less uptight, but even in the UK, you can be arrested for making certain jokes and doing certain things. And
Well, yeah,
in Canada, for sure, you're going to jail. And honestly, like, right, because I've been watching the Kill Tony podcast, where they have just comedians from everywhere to come on and do, an open mic night.
Yep.
There have been repeated Canadians coming in there because they can't tell jokes the way they want. So they tour America as long as they can get their visa for, and then they got to go back to Canada. And one guy I saw, Aaron Belial, he's actually got MS, I believe it. No, not MS. He's got what is it? Damn it. It's the one where your muscles are all like,
Oh, yeah.
what's the word I'm looking for? Why can't I think of it?
God. Yeah, I know what you're talking about too.
Rob, you know what I'm talking about?
Where they
think
see
so,
blood.
like a rigidity or
not muscular dystrophy, but it's another one of those ones where cerebral palsy. He's got cerebral palsy, and he's mute, so he have to do all his jokes through his phone. So you have to do text to speech app for his jokes, and he's a hilarious comedian, even roast people. But he can have to do it on delivery. But his first time on Kill Tony, because they do an interview section after they do their 1 minute of stand up, a guy in the audience who happened to be an immigration lawyer, he said, is like, my dream is to raise $30,000 so I can afford an immigration lawyer so I can become a U.S. citizen. And the guy in the audience said, I will take care of it, so that this guy could come from Canada and be an American citizen to live his dream. And it's like, awesome. And just to have so many Canadians coming all the way to Texas to get a minute of time, a chance at a minute of time to talk, or they're doing other open mics all over the place, or they're doing small bid shows everywhere else. It's like, but the idea is, and watching this show, because there's so many different people of so many different backgrounds and everything else like that. When I brought up this conversation of, is anything actually sacred? Is there anything they can't touch? And frankly, watching this show, seeing so many people, it's like, no. It's like, to see even Canadians like rocking some of the worst fucking things I've ever heard, it's just like, because they can't say it there, they come here and say it, and it's just like, no. It's like, personally, I don't think there is, and like Ricky stated way earlier, it's like, yeah, you have your own line, but I think socially, like in the bigger, broader term, I don't believe that anything should be so sacred it can't be made fun of. And I don't mean attacked or, but
deliberately insulting.
Yeah, and I think there's a line of how far you can go with it, but I don't think there's a line of what you can and can't make fun of. And George Carlin made, and I brought this up here before, George Carlin made a joke a long time ago, and the album was called Rape is Funny, or Rape Can Be Funny. Sorry, let me get myself correct. It's Rape Can Be Funny. And then everybody's like, oh, they feel a way about it. And then he's like, hold on, before you clutch your pearls. It's like, rape can be funny, and I'll prove it to you. Imagine Porky Pig raping Elmer Fudd. And then like everybody laughs. It's like, there you go. Literally, he made rape funny. It's like, it's not the overall concept, but it's like, if he saw it, like, nope, I can't tell a rape joke because rape is on the rise in this particular city. The only time I've seen George Carlin censor himself was because he did a special on September 10th, 2001, where he talked about certain subjects, and he changed his special because of what happened the next day. So like, that's the only time I've heard of Carlin specifically censoring himself, because that was a case of, not only was it too soon, it was like, he made a joke and then that happened. He's like, okay, that joke has to go away. It's like, we're going to edit that part out. Whoops. So it's like, and I think that maybe there is a too soon line on some things, but at that point it's like, okay, say we get 60 days after an event. Cool. It's open game. But like I said, South Park.
Godfried had absolutely no filter on that. He was like,
exactly.
I don't care if it's too soon. I don't care if it's.
But it was tailoring the joke in the right way, though.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes, and same honestly for Carlin. Like it
all depends on your approach.
comedy is also there's also the definition of the vein of comedy that people want to fall into, whether or not it's situational comedy or it is shock value comedy, or it is observational comedy. Exactly. So like in terms of like talking about like shock value comedians, is there a too far limit? No, to be honest, there really isn't. I mean, people have been telling dirty jokes for days and days. I have
that's the first thing that was scrolled on a cave wall. Was literally
right,
it
exactly.
was a picture
joke,
of a guy humping a bison. It was like he scribbled down the dirty joke, and then somebody else came by and went, the first laughter.
I mean, even
recorded laughter.
Mel Brooks. I mean, I watched he was the king. History of the World Part 2.
Yeah.
And he's the king of like taking it to that limit and basically saying, if you don't get the joke, then you're not really you're not really reading into it to make it funny for your brain. Some people will laugh at shock jokes because as humans, we like to sometimes feel that form of discomfort. And it's okay to be discomforted by a joke that doesn't hit to your sensibilities.
Yeah. But it still had an effect.
Actually, like like you said,
check your feelings at the door. Yeah.
Check your feelings at the door.
Yeah. I mean, we do that here. We'll get our own feelings.
I mean, I gotta stare at Ricky all the time, and so I got to check my feelings at the door about his face. I mean,
and it's unfair that we don't get to stare at you, but
beautiful hunk of a man. So yeah.
So Ricky, you've missed out for the last few minutes. Do you have any other thoughts on this?
You're still talking about the same comedy thing, so I didn't miss too much.
Yeah. Well, I know, but I'm just saying you haven't been able to key in.
I already said what I needed to at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it's individually based. But I think the biggest problem is nowadays everybody's so fucking sensitive. The whole snowflake culture of everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And they just want to take it to the extreme. I get it. I get being pissed off. I get it. But like the one guy shooting up at like the Chappelle concert and all that
when
shit
he
or
attacked
it was,
when he attacked Chappelle on stage.
Yeah. Like that's batshit crazy. I mean, he said something you didn't like. Fine, write him a letter. Tell him to go fuck himself. Do whatever you want to. Start
go to Twitter again.
YouTube channel and talk about what a piece of shit he is.
Yeah.
But to physically go out and try to kill the man, that's fucking bananas to me.
And then get your ass whooped by Jamie Foxx backstage.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie,
that was a big motherfucker.
That was still some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. Like when it turned out, it's like not just Dave's guys, but all of the comedians that were backstage. And then Jimmy Carr comes out like after the fact, like white and British as hell, and he's just like laughing about the dude getting his ass beat in the background. I was like, it's bad. And Jimmy Carr's a shock comic, as far as I know.
It's too much, man. People need to fucking relax. You knew what you were tuning in for when you put on Chappelle.
Yeah.
You didn't put on Chappelle to hear jokes about him worried about your feelings. That's not what he's there for.
No. And I like
Here's the thing, even James Corden had some very blue periods, and look where I mean
I miss James Corden being real.
Right.
People just can't take
by Disney.
People just can't take they can't separate how they see reality and the ridiculousness of the punchline of the joke itself.
Yeah.
I think it's more the generational thing. Our generation
it is too, yeah. But I mean,
finish this for me. We're all generally the same.
We're in the same generation. Yeah.
About sticks and stones may break my bones.
That's right.
But words will never hurt me.
But names will
and this new generation doesn't get that. They're like,
no, words are violence. It's literally words are violence. Yeah.
Your words are making me less of a person. No, they're fucking not, you fucking pansy. I can't control what other people can say, but I can control my reactions to what those people say.
Yeah.
Exactly. So people are fucking pussy.
And it's just people, it's people who don't have any type of emotional control. It's like I think like we're at a point now where and I think it is partly to this latest couple generations.
Kids' asses so they stop growing up being sissies.
Yeah, we are at a point where people literally have no control over themselves, and it's rewarded.
And it's more they give the power to other people. When the fuck did people want to do that shit? Like I always wanted to be in control of myself. Nobody can fuck with me but me.
Yeah.
But nowadays everybody's like, oh, everybody in the whole world can affect me and my. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's the whole if it
And I'm
feels
not
good,
all
do it.
100%, dude. I deal
The Simpsons
with
did this.
massive depression. I've dealt with suicidal
R-
thoughts and actions. Like we've all
Yeah.
dealt with shit, but I'm not over here going,
Yeah.
Mike made a face and it made me cry. I'm gonna go kill somebody. Now shut the fuck up, man. People are
Exactly.
I mean,
trash.
Mike
People are
said something
trash.
about a female lead taking over and being a girl boss on a TV show. Oh no, everyone should be offended. Or Marvel should come out and make a
Dude,
statement
people
about
should
Mike's
just
statement.
not watch Mike at all if they're worried about being offended. He
Yeah,
hates
seriously,
all
don't.
you guys.
Yeah, if you watch Mike's channel, by all
That's
means, you're walking into offense. So
he hates all of
Well,
you motherfuckers.
like, look, let's
That's
just
right.
we're being
I'm an
honest here.
equal opportunity here.
And see, that's
right.
what Sean
How did
said.
Sean say he's not a racist. He hates everybody equally.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I
Right.
can't be racist. I hate everyone equally. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
That's right.
And I think somewhere in my teens, once I got to work for a piece of shit boss, I realized it's like, look, I'm gonna treat everyone equal. No one's above me unless I let them. It's like, you might be my boss and I'll show you whatever amount of respect, but you are not better than me because you came to this company a year and a half before I did, or because you're 5 years older than me, or any of the shit. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what your religion is. It's like, you're no better than me as on a human level.
No,
It's
I'm
like,
not saying
you're
go
not
out of your
worth
way and
you're
like,
not worth more. It's like, what I'm saying in general is like, nobody, they're not better than or anything. It's like, you guys are all fucking on my level, and the respect I show you is going to go up or down depending
based
on
on
that.
what you earned.
And just because I made fun of you doesn't mean I respect you less. It might mean I respect you more, because we tear each other apart constantly in the fucking comments. Like, Ricky's always trying to make jokes and it never lands, and then I make fun of him in a much more precise manner, and it's
But
fantastic.
here's the problem is my jokes do land with me.
With
I
you
laugh
only.
At 'em. I don't fucking care if anybody else laughs.
Ricky
at 'em.
makes
I'm gonna tell you,
himself laugh, and that's it.
I'm not here for anybody else's entertainment. I'm here for my
Ricky
own,
is a
dude.
centrist.
Like, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm the center of my fucking universe, and I don't give a fuck about nothing else.
Exactly.
But
That's why his
you were
neighbor's
bringing
going to get robbed because of the registry.
You know, not in this.
He
not
won't
my
even
neighbor.
defend his neighbors.
Dude,
He's just going to be watching them.
Me and my neighbor, we gonna hold this neighborhood down, dude. Ain't nobody.
Yeah.
Well,
getting-
my jokes are typically more focused towards the general. I know my audience, so
I like it better
But the
when
thing-
I like it better when you like turn off the censorship though, Rob, because sometimes you try to be a little too clean because you forget where you're at.
you know.
When you
Now, you
remember
brought up-
when you
you-
remember where you're at, you're hilarious.
What?
You
Where am
brought
I?
up your
Your
boss
ice cream?
a second ago.
Yeah.
And
What am I doing? here?
I've always had this theory. Okay, I'm not saying cuss your boss out like a dog,
No.
but I don't. My boss. Okay, so here's my coworker. Me and them are on this level. My boss is like a half tick up. That's all it is. Is they have a title that puts them here.
Yeah.
But how I treat them is just that half tick. I've literally had coworkers at my job now. The girl that works the opposite shift of me, because we're the only two cooks there.
Doing that job. Yeah.
So the girl opposite me, she's like, "How do you talk to them like that?" Because I'll be like, "No, we can't do that.
Mhm.
We're not doing that at all. We can do this, and this is what we'll do."
Yeah.
She's like, "How come you don't get?"
So-
I'm like, "Look, man, let me explain something to you I learned a long ass time ago. Until the day comes where there is a law that says they can put me up against a wall and shoot me for speaking my mind, that's when I'll worry about it. Until then, the worst thing they
That'll
can
be
do is
that'll be
fire me.
2025. Don't worry about it.
The worst thing they can
Not
do
there
is
yet.
fire me.
Yeah.
Or my kids
And
now.
let me tell you, I'll leave this job like I got here, looking for a fucking job.
On his
So
knees.
I'm not ever, never gonna kiss somebody's ass. Never.
No.
It's not my style.
No.
I'm not disrespectful, but I'm also
I'm not a
gonna
kiss
fucking
ass.
suck
Yeah.
their ass at all.
And-
If I think they're wrong, I tell them they're wrong. I do know very much, again, being from a military family, I believe in chain of command. And I've literally in a meeting waited until people cleared out and then said to my boss, permission to speak freely. And then if they were civilian, I've had to explain what that means. If they had any kind of military background at all, they knew what I
They
meant.
knew what that meant. Yeah.
And it just means I'm going to talk freely, which it pretty much just means you're going to cuss while talking and not get in trouble for it. But it boils down to you can say whatever you want as long as it's not directly
It's kind of like off
you
the
can't
record.
tell your boss no.
Yeah.
But you can tell your boss that's fucking stupid.
See,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, see that's
Like,
that's what's funny is like I've been hit up for insubordination in my work, and I'm like, no,
I
I'm
never
talking.
told you no, that's not
Yeah,
insubordination, motherfucker.
it's like that's what I told him. I literally was like, my boss tried to fire me for cussing at him, and I'm like, first of all, that's not insubordination. I'm cussing at you because you're being an unreasonable piece of shit. That's why I'm cussing you. I didn't say no. I didn't even refuse an order. It's like, but that aside,
You told me to do something, I did it. I just
I've
thought
been
you were
talked to
fucking
before
dumb
about
for
being
saying it.
I've been talked to before
Anyway.
about being belligerent.
No,
but
no,
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Belligerent.
Belligerent's another thing, but like, it's like, and I know where to draw the line on insubordination, and I've been insubordinate with my bosses, usually the lower level bosses, because I know I can get away with that shit with them. But like, that chunk aside, getting out of there to take it back to the comedy level on people.
But it's still the same thing.
Okay,
You don't have to
no,
even take it back. It's still the same thing.
Yeah.
Until somebody can put you up against the wall legally,
No, but I was
they
going
should
to
be
tell a
allowed to say
story.
whatever the fuck they
and
want
just to say
Yeah.
something that Ricky did mention, which was respect. It's
Yeah.
the respect factor.
So
If the comedian or whoever is doing the presentation, comedy special, whatever, you know, even open mic night,
Mhm.
as long if you're going up there and you're going in front of the mic, if you have respect for your audience and your audience, you know, and you're earning that respect from your audience,
Mhm.
then anything that you say, as long as it's, you know, as long as you have that respect, that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
yeah,
And comedians do this all the time. It
all
is
the time.
it is insane how many articles from Tina Fey down to, you know, Steve Carell. They've all said
Tina
the same
Fey is
thing.
my
Well, I
total hot
started it.
librarian
I
crush.
was in, you know, they were like, I did improv. Do on occasion I will go and do an open mic night at somewhere because I'm working on new material. I'm
Yeah.
working on shopping this stuff
Yeah.
out. I'm trying to figure it out. And they go through tons of iterations of jokes. I mean,
Dude, I saw
great
Christopher
example,
Titus.
I just wanna-
Seth Meyers' writing room. So he recently did last week he likes to do some of these impromptu writers room reviews.
Mhm.
And he's like, here's the jokes that we didn't
get
tell
to.
because either they were inappropriate,
Yeah,
or they just really sucked.
and
And he went through the list and it was absolutely hilarious, but it was all, he was right. Like most of them were just like, wah, wah.
we're also kind of
And
laughing at how bad they are.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's just it. They workshop hundreds of jokes.
And we see that on
sending
Miss
it to their
Maisel right now.
boss in the hope that
Hey,
it
before
works.
we get too far, just in case she ever gets a chance to see this,
Sure.
Tina Fey, you can get it twice without even taking a shower between.
Ricky.
I'm just saying.
Ricky, imagine Tina Fey with red hair.
Always
Yeah.
classy.
He's getting hard right now.
Hold on.
Hold
I'm
on.
gonna turn my camera off.
It's gonna thump on the desk.
There we go.
Okay, so hold on. Before we get too far down a different tangent, I did want to bring up, speaking of comedy and bosses, right? So you guys know who I work for.
My dog's barking now.
Yeah,
'cause I was
that's
banging
funny.
on the
Good job. So you guys know who I work for, but when I first started on, I was at a much, basically the base position you can be in. There's like literally no one lower, and worked an early morning shift. And I'm gonna bleep the name, but my boss, his name was 6'5", 50-year-old black guy, and he is a hard ass. Like he is a fucking, I don't want to say slave driver, but I want to say slave driver. But he's also like chill, like he's fine until shit goes wrong, right?
Yeah.
So this is funny, like, so where I was, my particular position I was working in, and I mean in the physical sense, literally in the spot I was at, we were getting completely slammed, like just absolutely getting our asses handed to us. We had no help or nothing like that. And he would come out there and he would either gripe at us or he would stand there silently with his arms crossed, just staring at us and doing this number, just head back and forth, just like, when are y'all going to get on this? Like, not say a damn word, but that's what he would do, right?
Yeah.
So, and mind you, this is within the first 6 months of me working there, give or take. And so he comes up, does that for like a couple minutes, and we're really stressed out. We're getting our asses handed to us, and now he's watching us, right? So it means you can only do so much when you're being watched directly. So he steps away, and I immediately say to the guy working across from me, I'm like, dude, what the fuck does that why does he even bother doing that? Does he think this means fucking anything? I'm like, just fucking moving your head, crossing your arms. And he literally steps up right behind me, steps right back up. He stepped off to go say something to somebody. And it's literally not he's right behind me, isn't he? I saw him do it out of the corner of my eye, and I turn around. Holy shit. Well, there went the Silver Ranger.
The April dive?
No, it wasn't April. It was Red Ranger. Either way. So I literally turn around and I go, oh, there you are. Oh, thank God, you're fine. Okay, I thought you fell off the belt. You're good. All right. Whew. so worried about, and then he just he puts a big smile on his face. He shakes his head and then walks away. And the guy working across from me, as soon as he walked off, he just fucking falls on the floor laughing. It's like, God damn it, dude. It was like, that was one of the funniest fucking things I've ever seen. And like, I mean, it was without missing a beat. I literally, like, I was talking shit about him to fucking like, oh, you're good, okay. And I mean, like, literally touching him, like, you're good, you're okay. And like, at that point, I knew that where his sense of humor lied. And so later on, I changed positions again due to necessity. Still on the same shift. And I'm talking with one of my other coworkers, and we're talking about a very specific movie reference, and see if you guys will get this. And I said, okay, next time he comes up here, I'm going to ask him this. And he's like, don't fucking do it. I was like, I'm going to fucking ask him. And it's like, he's going to laugh. And it's like, no, he's not. He's going to fucking beat your ass. And I'm like, he's going to laugh. And so finally walks up after like an hour. And I look at him and was like, hey, and he's like, yeah. I was like, you're the supervisor over the whole thing, right? And he's like, right. And I was like, so there's nobody above you, right? He's like, no, it's just me. And I'm like, so does that make you the HNIC? And so Ricky's face is what I expected. What I got was what Dormamu did. Like, he literally goes, he thinks to himself for a second, and he goes, just nods his head and walks away.
Yep.
It's like, and I was like, yes. I was like, I got him. I know.
That's a playing with fire question, right?
That's
there,
why. That's why
that was going to go one of two ways.
Exactly. That's what we said.
So.
Yeah, exactly.
Executed.
And mind you, I said it that way. I didn't say what the phrase was. I'm not that stupid. I literally said that. It was the what did he just say to me? And then he just said that to me, and then he giggled. When he giggled and when he shook his head and smiled and walked away, I was like, I know this man. We're gonna be best friends. You know, yeah. And like realistically, up until he retired, like we were totally cool. And like the guy who was literally telling me not to do it, I was like, I told you he would fucking laugh. And I was like, but it was the idea that like sometimes you got to push the boundary. And mind you, I didn't say it to be offensive because that literally, the presentation mattered. Yeah, I could have easily said that in a way to specifically piss him off.
Yeah,
but I didn't.
But it also came down to you knew
it's all in the delivery.
But I wouldn't walk up to a complete stranger.
No. But I mean, I only knew him as well as I'd worked for him for a couple hours a day for 6 months. You know,
so you
it's
explore
not
the boundaries.
Yeah, and like it was
to take it a little bit further just to see the kind of reaction you would get.
Yeah,
you got a positive one. Cool.
Yeah,
now we're at this level.
Now, if it had gone the other direction, clearly our relationship would have been very different over the next 10 years.
But okay, so here's the thing with jokes and shit like that. It is all about one, reading the room, knowing the person you're talking to, and 3, how well you already previously get along with him.
Yeah.
Example, I was hanging out with some friends, and a new guy who had never really hung out with me and my friends. One of my friends said something, funny, and dude was like, "Oh, that's the one I'm gonna have to fight," and laughed it off. Now he was joking, but he was new to hanging out with us,
right?
And it was, I know myself and at least 2 others like kind of did this look at each other like, oh, we about to have to whoop this dude's ass to let him know you are not one of us.
Yeah,
we don't know you like that, at all. Like I sit here and talk shit with you guys all day long. Say you get some. I'm just going to use Jerry because he's been on here one time.
Yeah.
First time Jerry's on here. Jerry's like, oh, Shoki's a big old piece of shit. I'd be like, what the fuck did you just say? Who the fuck are you coming around here talking about Shoki? Like, I don't fucking know you.
Yeah.
We don't have a relationship like that. I'll tell Shoki go fuck himself. You better watch your fucking mouth.
Which he does all the time.
Different things.
All the time.
I do. Constantly.
All the fucking time.
And it's fun to watch him go through with it.
I think he sent me at least 3 text messages since we've been talking, just continually telling me to go fuck myself.
Yep.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I just fucked myself thinking about Tina Fey, so why not?
This is true. He did.
Mm-hmm.
If you were on Patreon, you'd know.
Yeah, but it's the thing. You have to know the person. Like even your HNIC, like that's not going to fly with somebody you just met.
Now, if I had said if I said the words, it would not have gone over.
I think even implying it with the person you don't know that well.
No, I agree. It. But that's why. But I also made the assumption he was going to be good with it. Remember, I said I felt what my audience was going to be there. And
Now,
I even
let's go
I
with-
brought it up to
I mean,
the
you got to
other
be a
audience.
really good
Now, me
people person
personally-
to be able to read it properly.
Yeah.
And
Like-
yeah,
like my dude Eric, he is African American.
Oh, that Eric.
My family, his family have hung out together. Our kids have played together. Like, we know each other.
Yeah.
And I would not say that to him because I know how he feels about that word.
Sure.
Not because I think he would think I was calling him one, but out of respect to how I know he feels about that word being used just at all.
Sure.
But then another dude that we both know it would be fine to throw that at him.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't blink an eye and he'd laugh
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And I probably know them both about equal to each other. But
Yeah.
that's the thing is, you know your audience. You
And-
know
and-
who you're talking to.
And I think the
Now, there might be a day Eric might laugh that off. I might catch him at just the right time. He's like, oh, man, damn, you got me. But it'd be that one time that you don't. And that right there can kill a friendship
oh yeah,
like that.
100%. 100%. I've been
right.
there. But like I think part of it was also the way I presented it. Because with the setup of, so you were literally, you know, in a very literal sense, within this building, you are this. And it's like, and once again, not in an insulting way, but I'm putting myself down by acknowledging your position with this joke. Think about it that way, because he's my boss. He's way, way, way above me. And I literally told him, like, even though I'm using that phrase, I'm literally acknowledging his position within that and putting myself down as well, without insulting him.
Let me flip it on your head.
Yeah.
Now, if he's somebody who finds offense in that word, he's a
And if he
black
did,
man
yes.
he's a black man who finds offense in that word.
By the way,
You
for
can
anybody
explain away-
who doesn't know what that is, just look up Stand By Me.
Yeah, I knew it.
Watch the movie Stand By Me. You'll understand.
Yeah. So
Not.
Right.
Oh wait, no. Is that Stand By Me? Or, no, Lean
no,
on Me.
Lean on me.
Damn it! I
Lean
do it
on me.
every time. I get it backwards. Don't watch the other
Just
movie.
Lean
They
on Me.
use that word very differently.
Well,
in that
Stand
movie.
By Me is awesome, but
Yeah,
Lean on
but
Me is a whole
it doesn't
different
apply
movie.
here. Hey, look,
Yeah.
if Morgan Freeman said it, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's not okay.
I need to watch that movie again. I haven't seen it in a long time. Either way, go ahead.
So he's a black man who does not like I was saying, Eric is not cool with that word.
No.
Me specifying, hey, all I'm doing is showing that you're above me. I'm freely admitting that you have a level above me. And his retort's going to be, but why do I have to be that to be recognized as being above you? Because that word takes away the power of you saying that I'm above you.
And
that word is a word that's used to hold somebody down.
Yeah.
And you're mixing it in with a statement to
And-
push somebody
and
up. They kind of negate each other.
and the only reason it works is if you know the context of the phrase.
Yes.
Because
That's what I'm
the
saying.
phrase
there's a
gave it
lot
its
of
power.
little-
there's so much nuance.
Nuance.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
So the
that you
nuance,
have
the
to
nuance
really be
in
careful with.
the nuance in the existence of the phrase and the way it was used in its own context is why
And
it
fact
got
he's
the
probably
reaction
seen
it
that
did.
movie.
A
If
million
you haven't seen that
times, for
movie, he'd
sure.
be like, "What the fuck are you talking?"
Well, he also
Like,
wouldn't
that-
know. If he didn't have any clue what I meant, I would not explain it.
People who haven't seen that movie probably know what HNIC is.
Maybe we'll find out in the chat after this is over. You know, when it's like we'll premiere this, I'll see anybody who knows. But dude, so that kind of lines me up on the rest of the topic I wanted to go on, because we talked about whether anything's sacred in comedy, but now Hollywood is treating very specific things as so sacred that you can't even like bring it up in movies and stuff like that.
None of that's okay.
And I think, yeah, I agree. And I think
It's
that
either all or nothing.
yeah, but I think a movie like Lean on Me wouldn't get made the same way.
right.
There's a lot of movies that are like that, though.
Yeah,
There's a
and I
lot of
agree.
Movies and
movies that
TV
just would
shows, there's
not-
a lot
exactly
of them
that just would
make it
not
today.
get made
Like-
in this day and age, and it's because it's this day and age.
South Park
And now-
couldn't exist if it didn't already.
So now we were on a group hangout, like an unaired hangout after one of the shows this weekend, and we were just talking about how many movies could you name that made over $1 billion, like that type of thing.
Sure.
And then we started talking about what about old movies that you put to modern
adjust for
modern inflation.
Yeah.
And the highest grossing movie of all time ever adjusted for inflation is
Ten
fucking
Commandments.
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind. Okay.
Gone with the Wind. It's like, and it's a ridiculous amount. Like,
God, that movie's so long.
if Avatar, I think he said was $2.6 billion.
Original
They're
Avatar,
number
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
They're number one right now.
Yep.
$2.6 billion or some shit.
Yep.
Adjusted for inflation, that movie made $10 billion. That's fucking
And that's only
batshit
10
like
years
it-
ago, 12 years ago.
that-
yeah.
No.
Oh,
No.
Gone with the Wind.
Gone with the Wind.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And that was on its original release. Like it's so like we also looked up ticket sales. I was like, well, that just means more people went and saw the movie now than saw back then. It wasn't that big.
There
of a
were more.
disparity.
There's more people to see the movie now, so that's
now than back then.
Yeah.
But the disparity wasn't. The ticket sales were almost identical. They were only off by a few hundred. It's how many people went and saw. You know what I'm saying? I think Gone with the Wind actually had more ticket sales. It's just
there's less movies back then, so yeah, makes sense.
And it was just
it would be in the theater for like 4 years.
Highest grossing movie of all time, $10 billion fucking dollars. You wouldn't see 15 minutes of that movie made nowadays. Not
well, also that movie is like what 4 hours long. It's almost like a.
I don't know.
I've only seen it
to tell you.
I've seen it in miniseries form. I've never seen it.
I've
as a full
tried
movie.
twice, and both times I've fallen asleep in the first 20 minutes of that movie.
And I remember.
I won't try again.
I remember the back half of the movie more than I remember the beginning of it.
And I'll tell you what,
Like
I've
once
watched
the
10th
farm
Kingdom.
burns down or the ranch burns
The
down. The
miniseries 10th Kingdom, I've seen that movie probably 5 or 6 times, and it's 10 and a half hours long. So it ain't nothing to do with the length of the movie.
So
that movie
the
bores
10 and a half
the fuck
Kingdom?
out of me. No.
Y'all drank at the same time. Drink.
You never seen the 10th Kingdom?
No, never even heard of it.
Great movie, miniseries on NBC back in the day. It had like John Larroquette, like Ed Harris was in it. Like not Ed Harris.
Oh,
The dad from Married with Children. It's his daughter goes, and the girl you would know her too if you saw her. The main girl, right. She goes into like fairy tales, like real life fairy tales.
I see that,
and they're fucking hilarious. Like
this looks like.
Which I mean, Married with Children versus Modern Family. Ed O'Neill is also a very good comparison of then versus now.
Yep. Oh God, yeah, Al Bundy couldn't exist now.
Oh
nope.
God, no! There's no way.
Al Bundy does exist. He's right there in Canada. He's right there.
That's Mike Flusher Ferguson is sitting next to your couch.
That's it.
Yep.
No, ma'am.
So this looks like the 10th Kingdom looks oddly like Happily Ever After or whatever.
National Organization of Men Against Amazonian Masterhood.
That's right.
Yep, no ma'am.
You got that t-shirt printed.
What'd you say about 10th Kingdom?
Well, I was saying it looks like what was it? The ABC show. What is it? Is it not Happily Ever After? What is it?
Whatever.
The one where it's all the fairy tales are
Disenchanted?
Yeah. No.
I think it's Happily Ever After.
I think it's Happily Ever After, yeah.
Anyways, they go into the live thing, and there's just parts of it that I really loved. Like they go into
no, that's not it.
Into a town, and there's like the town oh man, I'm gonna try to say this word because I'm gonna mess it up. It's the town, not the town Joker, the town
Jester.
Yes, like a town jester type thing.
Yeah.
And he's standing there at like the gate, and he's like, it's like, what do you say? The guy, and he says like just really off the wall, like, mentally ridiculous things.
Okay.
And even kind of acts that way. And one of the guys says like, "You're a complete idiot." And the guy's like, "Huh, I wish my dad, now he was a complete idiot. I'm only a partial idiot." Like it's like one of those things.
Great.
Like it was fucking hilarious. And then when they go through the dark woods that are always in the fairy tales and all that shit, and they have the one where people fall asleep and just never wake up. They're just stuck there for forever. It cuts to like these Jim Henson mushrooms singing "Whiter Shade of Pale" like in chorus, and they just lay down and sleep and take naps listening to them sing. This movie's awesome, man. There's a bunch of people. If you saw it, you'd be like, "I know that guy. I know that guy." The Big Bad Wolf is an actor that you probably know from a bunch of stuff.
Probably.
Like, and then Ed O'Neill plays like the Troll King. Like, there's a lot of famous people in that fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's good stuff.
I'm really annoyed.
If you ever get a chance to come across it, man, I remember having it in a box set. It was 4 discs on a fucking DVD.
Wow.
Yeah, it was back when DVDs were first coming out and shit. And I remember because I had Titanic on 2 tape VHS right next to 10th Kingdom with 4 discs in it. Well,
I'm gonna find it here in a second.
It was like an ABC or NBC miniseries, like back in the 90s.
Give me a second here. No, I'm not that. I looked up 10th Kingdom. I'm trying to find a show that I can't think of the name of. That is, it sounds so similar, which is funny. Where is it here? Because the girl, the chick from House was on it. She was the main exactly. Who was the daughter of Snow White and the Prince Charming.
Back to the 2 ladies that are watching since Shoki's not doing anything.
Exactly.
Take it off, Mike.
Why am I not seeing her?
Make them pesos or whatever y'all use up there in Canada now.
Canadian pesos.
Probably francs.
Almost.
Rupees. Ruples.
Yeah, rupees.
Where is it?
$2.
Once Upon a Time. That's what it was called. Once Upon a Time. That's what
I'm
it
so
was.
glad you wasted all that time looking because I still don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, it's actually it's very similar to 10th Kingdom in sounding wise. Basically, it's like all the fairy tales happened in whatever land that, and so she goes from the real world. Her son gets kidnapped or whatever. She ends up going to from the real world to the fairy tale land, and like it's a whole thing. And it went on for way too fucking long.
10th Kingdom. Sounds like they totally knocked it off.
Well,
10th Kingdom was fun. 10th Kingdom's a good romp.
I mean, the first like 4 seasons of that show were okay, and then it started getting absurd. But like when you
wish I could find it to own it again because I would buy it again just because I loved it.
Hell, it's probably so much fun. It might be streaming somewhere. You never know.
Maybe.
Who knows? But back to Hollywood, and just there's too many things that I don't think they take things too seriously now, to the point that they won't, like, not even in a comedic sense. They're like, okay, we can only take one take on a subject. We can't possibly have any other concepts here. Or they also will find things unsacred in a way, like what happened with this new, speaking of Jada Pinkett Smith again, her Cleopatra documentary starring a clearly black woman, and insisting literally within the title screen, everything you know about Cleopatra is wrong. She was definitely black. And then that literally has basically Egyptians up in flames because they literally said no. And she wasn't. And in especially in the modern sense. Like, if you want to say she's African because she's Egyptian, at least potentially half Egyptian, fine. But as this one interview I watched with Pierce Morgan talking with this one Egyptian man and this other American black man talking about, taking each side of it. And he said, look, you guys have, and he said this in general, was like, basically you've denied our Egyptian heritage, and the fact that there's no Egyptian actors at all, regardless of what color they might be. There's no Egyptian representation actually within the film, which is a documentary. And it's not like they're playing a fictional character, they're playing a historical person. And while her motherhood, or at least her mother's side, is contested, she definitely wasn't West African, which is what modern black is based off of, is West African for the most part. Now, it's possible she might have been from more Central Africa, but we don't know. There's no way in there at all to find that out, because her dad's heritage, which spans from the Macedonian era and all that kind of stuff, and that entire, reign of however many thousands of years they ruled over Egypt and that chunk of the world. But the fact that what basically the Egyptian side is literally like, hey, you're literally taking our heritage, saying it doesn't matter, and claiming it as your own because you want to. And that's what Jada Pinkett Smith said. It was like, I wanted to show my daughter that there can be black queens in the world, so I'm going to just snag one and I'm going to call her black.
Yeah.
And doesn't, in the literal sense, that doesn't apply here because you're American. It's like, and at best, you're of some West African descent, which still doesn't apply here. But the fact that they will claim it and then call you racist because you said you deny what they said. So they claim what they want is sacred, but what the actual people that it affects, they're like, no, that doesn't matter. Their opinion doesn't matter. It's like, fuck that. And the idea that they can pick and choose what they want to be sacred to whatever, and it goes against basically like what we talked about with comedy. Either it's all fair game, or I don't even know. Like because
it was the Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Archaeology, Mustafa Waziri.
Yes.
Yeah. So that put it a whole.
I mean, he only knows a little bit, and he actually made a point, at least in that particular interview. He said, "It's like I wouldn't be surprised if you come down to the Royal History Museum in London, eventually literally just marking off all of the stuff that's Egyptian and writing in African and changing the history to whatever the thing is." But
because he said the appearance of the heroine in this body is a falsification of Egyptian history and a blatant historical misconception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's not that I'm being anti-black about it, but it's the idea that they're being anti whatever they want to get what they want.
It's being it's being a historical revisionist,
but for your
what they're
own
doing.
pocketbook.
Exactly.
And
because remember that school that Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith tried to open up years ago?
No.
Yeah, on the East Coast. I'm trying to
Wasn't it
remember where it was.
It was a slap boxing school, wasn't it?
Something like that. But
it was not that.
Totally, yeah. But it totally did not teach proper history whatsoever. It's basically whatever I felt like, that's what we're teaching.
Yeah.
And that school went way down under.
And I guess in some ways, like, it's one thing when you want to fictionalize, like straight up fictionalize a character. So if you wanted to tell, like, we'll just stay with Cleopatra. If you wanted to just do a like the scary movie and the like Meet the Spartans, those kind of fucking really weird parody movies, and you wanted to have a Cleopatra in there that was just blatantly wrong, that's one thing. And like and at that point it's okay because it rolls into parody. But once again, going into comedy where nothing is sacred, and everybody gets it because it's comedy, or everybody should get it, I should say. But when it comes to Hollywood in general, making quote unquote serious things are only as sacred as they can afford to pay off.
Well, the thing is, the BBC has been doing this for quite a long time as well, for like, probably a little over 10 years as well, trying to say that, like, for example, black people, were along with the Romans that came into England like many couple of millennia ago and whatnot, when that is not even factual history whatsoever. It's this whole revisionist history just to make it all politically correct. So we check all the boxes so we don't upset people. So we have representation of any sort whatsoever. And it's muddying the waters of what's factual and what's fanciful.
Yeah.
Fantastical even, right?
Yeah.
We see it in superhero movies. And I mean, I know that's, superhero movies are kind of different, of sorts, but yeah, when you're taking actual historical facts and rewriting it just because you want it a certain way, like 100 years from now, what's a couple of generations from now, what are they going to think? What's actually the truth? I don't know.
So okay,
because we got this documentary saying this, when we got historical accounts saying this and whatnot. What's really
but then
real?
Going by what you're saying,
ridiculous.
then everything we were taught about history 100 years ago is completely different than what we learned. So you're saying that the history we know is the correct one, but if we go back 100 years, are those same people thinking that shit that you're thinking right now?
I think there's a difference between revisionist and updated. And I think
history's written by the winners.
It's true. It's true.
No, that is true. Yes,
that part's true.
The snowflakes win. We're gonna have a snowflake history.
What do you mean? What do you mean if?
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is when you're talking about like actual facts. For example, like we're talking about Cleopatra, when there's numerous pictures and busts and whatnot of Cleopatra.
Well, not pictures. Let's.
Well, no. Like
there's no pictures of her.
Yes.
We don't have a photograph of her.
There's not a photograph. Photograph, but there are paintings, for example.
Yeah, but you can't go.
But that
doesn't.
Yeah, but exactly. Yeah, that doesn't make it fact because it's also an interpretation.
You have busts. You have coins.
Yeah.
Busts that are painted bronze. So how do you know what her skin tone is?
Well, it's not even about the skin tone. It's about the facial features realistically at that point. But
you could tell that she was clearly Macedonian.
Well, yeah, right? But there's no argument that she's Macedonian by any means. More Greek looking at best. But okay, right. So
but I mean, when
that
you're
aside,
blatant.
So actual history aside, you were bringing up a point about superhero movies and stuff like that. The difference in Captain America, the First Avenger, where Hydra is essentially created because they don't want to say Nazis.
Exactly.
So literally, like they're editing. There's a good sneeze. Bless you.
Sorry, guys.
You're fine. Mute. You're fine. You gotta sneeze a lot. Here it comes. Let's watch.
I'm fighting this head cold, man. I'm jacked up on Dayquil right now.
It's all good. But like
Probably.
the idea that they would even edit down the concept of, okay, they said, oh, they're the division of the Nazis, not that they are just flat out Nazis,
Right.
for that reason, because they don't want to offend or whatever. And mind you, if there's anybody you're going to specifically try not to bring up in offense, I guess Nazis is the
Fuck
baseline.
that. You make them the bad guy.
Yeah,
and you let
but they're the
people
bad
fuck
guy,
them up.
yes.
Ain't nobody's offended by that
Steven
shit.
Spielberg said, you know what? If you want the perfect bad guys, Nazis.
Yeah,
Dude,
literally.
You're not going to offend anybody because everybody hates a Nazi.
I can't stand. I think Quentin Tarantino is so fucking overrated and gets puffed up by so many people. But let me tell you,
Very
I love
true.
that fucking movie where he was killing fucking Nazis to that whole goddamn
Nazis.
shit. That shit,
Nazis.
Glorious Bastards. I love
Yeah.
that fucking movie.
So-
And that was historical fiction because they put
Like,
Hitler in a whole nother place and assassinated him, and none of that shit really happened.
yeah, that was
shit
clearly
was
fiction.
awesome.
Yeah, fiction based
Exactly.
on history.
Yeah.
Around history, I should say. I mean, same thing with.
Kinda
But I mean, like at
Assassin's
least,
Creed type stuff.
yeah. But I mean, like Hellboy, takes place through all that stuff. Then they don't shy away from the Nazis or anybody else like that. But it's because it's Disney, so Disney has to toe, well, the most extreme line possible. Depending on what it is. That's what I'm saying. It's self-imposed. But it's like no one said. Well, I'm sure someone did. But whether it's a corporate thing or the fact that they'll censor things. Say like when they're censoring stuff that features China as the bad guy, like Top Gun Maverick, where they had to
when they remade Red Dawn.
that too, where they changed it to Korea, right?
Korea,
Yeah.
We got rid of the
But
Russians and made them Koreans because we didn't want to upset the Russians.
But remember, we could in what was it, Maverick? They couldn't have the Chinese as the bad guys, and he couldn't have the Taiwanese flag on his jacket.
That's
Yep.
Because they wouldn't sell in China. So now it's like now we're editing story because we don't want to offend our quote unquote biggest market, but in realistically, you should just tell whatever story you're going to tell and let the market decide, not pre-edit the thing, in the same way. And like I said, now China has become so sacred that we edit the Star Wars poster to make the black guy smaller. In that market, which is fucked up. And Disney goes,
So just a brief thing, and this just struck my brain from
I didn't even know you
earlier
were
in the
still
week.
here, dude.
I'm still here. But
He's been thinking about Tina
my
Fey.
kids just happened to watch a clip from War Games.
okay,
1984 thriller.
Yep.
Starring
Matthew Broderick.
starring Ellie
Matthew Broderick.
Matthew
Broderick.
Broderick.
And so they're
Starts World War
watching
III.
the Whopper computer give
Uh,
give Matthew Broderick's character all of the game options,
Yeah.
including global thermonuclear war. And so my daughter proceeds to ask, "What is that?" And I explained to her and my son the concept that they hacked into the computer, and the computer is basically talking back to them. And this was followed by two questions. First off, wait, does that mean that way back then they had AI? Which I replied laughingly, sort of. Followed by
In movies, yes.
my daughter looking at my son and going, "See, that's what happens when you don't code well."
God damn. What
She's
difference
not
30
wrong.
years makes, right?
Oh,
The-
man.
yeah,
crazy.
when your little
That's
kids are
awesome.
like, see?
So when we talk about countries, going ahead with computers and having issues between making Russia the bad guy, making China the bad guy, making Korea the bad guy.
Make AI
No,
the bad
it all
guy.
boils down to how well you can actually program Super Mario Maker. Yeah.
True.
I think at the end of the day, all that worrying about people's feelings in the Russians or the Chinese or Taiwanese, it should all go down to Jurassic Park terms. We got dots in here. We got dots in. See, nobody
Yep.
fucking cares. If the movie's good, they're gonna go fucking see it. They don't care what flag's on his fucking jacket.
But
They don't care
because
who's up there. Let me tell you, Russians saw Top Gun, and that's all it was us against the Russians in that fucking movie.
Yeah.
Russians saw Red Dawn, and all that was us versus fucking
they
Russians.
saw Hunt for Red October.
That showed Russians as weaker.
Actually,
than
we're assuming they
teenage
did.
Americans.
We're
Nope.
we're
was
assuming
a
that
big
wasn't
movie over
censored.
No, they did.
Okay.
No,
They weren't
did, 'cause
censoring
once
that
once the curtain went down,
Yeah.
everybody started talking about shit they had seen. All
Yeah.
that shit was over there.
I mean,
So they're literally watching Red Dawn, where it shows the trained Russian military
Yeah.
couldn't beat teenagers from some podunk fucking town out in the middle of Montana.
yeah, and then they literally go, I mean, it's just a documentary. They're like, yeah, it's 100% straight. Yeah, this is real. But I think the idea that at this point we've gotten to the point that political.
We've seen movies where America loses. That doesn't make me not watch a movie.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think at this point between Hollywood, and I don't mean specifically our Hollywood, I just mean media in general.
Weird.
It just in general, basically, because it's a global issue, not just us. But it's like it's got to the point that they're so worried about whichever political faction, whatever that might be, they don't want to step on someone's toes, especially now in the days of representation over story. You know, it's like when you have representation when it doesn't make sense, especially that dumbass law that they were trying to pass in California, where if your movie doesn't have a certain percentage of representation of the area it's being shot in, is like it you're gonna lose benefits. Realistically, is what it is. They're not technically gonna charge you more. They're just gonna take away your discounts that you get on your taxes. Crazy. It's fucking nuts. And like now that it was bad enough when we were making movies by Twitter committee, it's bad enough when we edit movies for another country's bullshit. But then when we're editing, we're writing movies around political bullshit within the state of California. Like that's why so much production has moved to Canada. I expect a lot of production to move to Texas. Like that's the fact that there's not a lot of production within Texas is crazy. Like because
I mean, look what's happening with Disney. Democrat. How much money they're hemorrhaging, for God's sake.
Yeah,
they just laid off like 7,000 more people. In Florida.
Yeah,
you know, because everything has to be politically correct. Everything has to check a box. Blah 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 blah. You know,
and
what does them firing people got to do with that?
Nobody's saying that it's like because it's leading to the decisions that they've made have led to them losing so much money. They're firing
they
people.
Have to end up firing a whole
so all of these bad decisions have just led to your latest bad decision. It's
broke equals broke.
Good money behind bad money.
Exactly, and it's like, and the thing is like we're gonna reach a zenith of it at some point where it's just like you're not gonna do this shit anymore, and some of the tides have turned depending on the area. But I think as long as it's centralized, too much of it is centralized within California, at least we're going to continue to see a lot of insanity when it comes to the ideas and ideals behind movie and TV making. When it gets outside of that, and I think they're trying to pass laws to bring more production away from Canada so that they can keep doing that. So
see, the thing is, I was talking with one guy a couple of weeks ago on a show. Gary Ambrosia, who works in Hollywood. He's done shit with Disney and, you know, a couple of other people and whatnot. And I brought up an interesting, not really a topic, but you know, I just said, you know, she's been watching a lot of Korean shows on Netflix, and some of them are actually quite good.
Oh yeah,
you know. As opposed to, you know, any of the other stuff that I've seen, you know, like in North America coming
actual Netflix shows,
like that. Yeah. And some of them, and I'm not kidding, some of them are actually quite good. And he said, yeah, it's pretty bad that, you know, when Hollywood was, you know, the leader in the world of cinematic making and creating and whatnot, making worlds and making shows and whatnot, that we've now lost that position to Korea of all places.
India.
India, exactly, with RRR, for example, which is an awesome movie.
Ton of other movies.
Yeah, you know, something's horribly wrong.
I don't think it's so much wrong as they wanted to just start doing their own thing because because
let's look at Ant-Man, for example.
No, I get what you mean by wrong, but I mean it's not wrong that they've come up to do their own thing.
No,
it's that because Hollywood is doing what Hollywood do, they're like, we don't want that. We just want to do this. Like, like a movie like RRR would not be made in modern Hollywood, not because there's anything offensive, but because their creativity is they're so defunct of creativity that it wouldn't happen. Like that, I guarantee you that script or something similar to it has come across the desk of somebody important, and they went, "That's stupid. No one will watch this." And then someone in India makes that exact movie. And it's one of the biggest fucking releases that Netflix has ever seen.
That's right.
And it's because it's so balls to the walls, silly and serious, and everybody just loves it for its own take. It's like no politics with it, except
Squid Game, for example.
Squid Game, even though
There's another one.
that everyone saw Squid Game and everyone was intrigued by it. It was the water cooler thing. But then on the opposite end of that, we get the Book of Boba Fett.
Yep.
Storytelling done wrong.
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly.
it's like, you know, and I think that we're so stuck in the era of remakes and redos and apology tours that we've forgotten how to make something that's worth a damn. And when it comes to foreign cinema,
and not to get on tangent, but I just watched again
this tangent
because it was the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. So I watched through it, and of course I watched the despecialized version because that's
the way it should be seen. Yes.
Yep.
Turn off all options.
But again, this is where most people don't get that there was a lot of womp moments in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, that movie was goofy as hell.
The
movie was goofy as hell.
Yes, it is goofy as hell, without a doubt. And that's the thing.
And then the Ewok dies, and like the other one cries because his buddy's dead. It's like it goes from wah, wah, into very serious crying over your dead friend. It's like, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, you look at it, and you know there is definitely like a there's comedy then, there's comedy now, there's you know, it's just
Blazing Saddles. I think Blazing Saddles could not be made today.
Is consistent. Right.
No. And everyone should see it to see what a world where you were allowed to be almost as offensive as possible. And it was a big movie.
Because the thing is, Hollywood now is like hiring all these young writers
to they don't have a chance.
Certain properties and whatnot that were famous or that, you know, still are relatively famous. And the thing is, what was written then were written by experienced writers.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
Writers that actually had very good life experience, as opposed to writers now in their 20s
who've only been on the internet.
Exactly.
Their entire life has been on the internet.
And they're handed properties. It's like the rich kid, yet again, the rich kid getting the dad's Maserati and going out hepped up on coke, friggin' driving it around, doesn't care if it crashes the car.
Hey, look, stop picking on Toby.
Yeah, well, no.
It was definitely Toby.
But I mean, that's what we're getting right now. We're getting the coke head that's friggin' driving the expensive car.
Hold on. To be fair, they were all cokeheads. It's just now they're rich kid cokeheads. They were all cokeheads back in the day. Stephen King's best work was
it's like a nephew that comes into your house or something like that.
Yeah.
That looks at your collection of figures and stuff like that. It's like, don't touch these. Don't play with them. These are mine. These are precious.
Yeah.
But you leave the room and they go ahead and play with it anyway, and they break them. No respect whatsoever.
And they sell it.
Yeah, that too.
Well, look at it this way. It was pointed out to me on a podcast the other day. I don't even know which one because I watch way too many podcasts. And it said that basically they blamed our problems now with Hollywood, TV, and movies. Basically, all stems from the writer's strike. Like basically at that point, what was it? 2012? When was that? 2010? Give or take.
About to start another one.
When
yes, there's another one coming.
When Revenge of the Fallen came out, that was
the big writer strike to shut everything down. Basically, TV and movies were ruined for like 2.5 years.
It was around 2009, 2010.
Yeah, so basically, like when that happened, it was such a hard reset, and they went to any avenue they could. It led to what we have now. So basically, because everybody who was in the industry said, "Fuck off, you're screwing us over so hard." But then the fact that we're getting a new writer's strike on the horizon, which is hilarious, given that it's which people are striking, the old people who came back and it's happening again, or is it the new pussies? Basically, it's like who shouldn't have anything to complain about because they got what they wanted. So that's where I'm getting at with this new writer strike. But basically, it said that the reason cinema exists like it does now in American culture is because that writer strike basically wiped out the old guard and set up what we've got now.
The shitty new guard.
The new guard, which doesn't do fuck all. You know, it's like to use an analogy, they dropped the border and just let anything in. It's like we're at that point they were like, no, it's like, here's how we filter out the bullshit and then the good stuff gets through. Now it's any bullshit gets through, and not only gets through, but gets millions of dollars pumped behind it. And it's like, oh, political message? Fuck yes. It's like original idea. You go over to India. It's
Look
like
at
you'll make a different
Picard
$1
season 3 with all
billion.
the full of member berry crap.
Hey, season 3 of Picard was awesome. When they actually wrote something worth a damn was when they decided to shut it all down, and it was when
that was full of member berries.
and I
crap.
talked about this last week. Who cares?
Let's
Nostalgia
keep
baiting
Kirk's
done well.
body on ice. Oh, come on. And Genesis 2 friggin' bomb in there. Oh,
dude, why wouldn't they hold on to all of that stuff? It's Starfleet.
Plus, on top of that, friggin' schizophrenic Data with like 5 personalities crammed in his head. Like, come on.
Which was great. All that was great because that's what they would do. They literally, basically okay, so what Picard pointed out is basically what we've got here. We've got a giant stack of all the shit we've held on to forever. And like they let out the stuff that's okay, but then you go, wait, they're still holding on to this? I didn't know. Why didn't anybody put this away in the first place?
Let's rip off Return of the Jedi and the last episode and fly into the Borg cube.
That was spoilers for everybody who hasn't seen the finale yet.
Oh,
I haven't seen it. Good job, dickhead.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Actually, I was on board with that.
And let's totally rip off. I
was 100% okay with all of it.
Oh, that was bullshit.
I was on board for all of it. It was fun. It was because it was so much bullshit prior to that. It was fun.
If you like it, you win.
And I win.
That's all I'm gonna say.
So either way, I think that's a perfect place to end because Ricky's got to go. So we might as well just end it there. So either way, guys, let us know your thoughts either in the comments down below, or if you're in the live chat of the premiere, let us know what you've said. Or if you want to actually write in with any questions, comments, or anything else like that, you can do so at the email. We haven't gotten an email in a very long time that wasn't spam. So of course you can follow us at all the things in the description down below. Ricky looks like he's about to pass the fuck out, so we're gonna go ahead.
That Dayquil's wearing off fast.
Yeah,
good for you, Ricky. Keep on trying.
Yeah, no, he's not drunk. He's fucking sick. It's like
so am I.
Drunk was helping. Now it's wearing off.
I haven't been drinking today because I didn't want to I didn't know what it would do with all the Dayquil pumping through my system, man.
Nothing. Dayquil is just acetaminophen.
Just don't.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
I took it at noon because I thought we were gonna start recording then, so I'm at the tail end of it.
Yeah, it's wearing off now, so yeah, you're good to go. So, all right, guys. So like, subscribe, do all those things, and of course, Patreon, blah 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 blah, and we will see y'all next week. Probably, hopefully, maybe.
Blah blah blah.
If not, go fuck yourself.
Blah, blah.
Well, don't do that. That's not very nice. Unless of course, there's a redheaded Tina Fey picture in front of you.
God,
be kind. Don't be so offensive.
Yeah, quit. Actually, don't
be so offended.
There you go. It's like no. People should be allowed to be offensive.
Be offensive. Don't be offended.
Yeah.
Don't take it out on everybody.
Hey, that should be our tagline on a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Right, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Don't be offended.
Don't be offended.
That should be the name of this episode.
Now I think we got the episode name right at the beginning, and I already forgot what it is, but it's forever recorded. So, all right. So with that, okay, bye.
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 I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats.